Patriots covered.
Back to the home. He's in trouble. A sack.
It's an all-new season for the Pats, and you'll hear it all right here. 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
It is finally game week for the Patriots, who visit Cincinnati this coming Sunday. Yesterday, the team was back out at practice after a 3-day break for the players, and projected starting left tackle Verdarian Lowe and left guard Sidy Sow were once again out. The team also voted its captains. They include Jacoby Brissett, David Andrews, Jabril Peppers, Jawan Bentley, Joe Cardona, and Dietrich Wise. As for the Bengals, they were once again without Jamar Chase at practice. He was present but did not take part, with his contract negotiations with the team continuing. The Red Sox began a 3-game series at Citi Field with a 4-1 loss to the Mets. Luis Severino went 7 strong innings for the win. Sox have lost 3 in a row in 8 of 11. They're 4.5 games out of a playoff spot. They continue their series with the Mets tonight. Boston College began the Bill O'Brien era with a massive upset. Quarterback Thomas Castellanos ran for 1 score and added a pair of touchdown passes. BC beat number 10 Florida State on the road 28-13. And women's top seed Iga Swiatek and men's top seed Jannik Sinner both won their round of 16 matches yesterday at the U.S. Open Tennis Tournament. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, now open in Raynham, Reading, and Braintree. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Let's talk turkey, shall we?
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, in the sports industry, that's what you say.
Got your talking head right here, buddy.
98.5, the Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Oopity up with a football.
98.5, the Hub.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
Cocaine and hookers. Yes. Na. Is it okay to use this for the radio? Yeah. Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch.
I was at dinner with my wife and a friend. Fred Toucher is a nut job.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. We are in the Town Fair Tire Studios. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 617-779-0985. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And then you can see that. And everyone is back. And I would imagine everyone's back for a very long time. Hardy was gone for 3 days last week. I was gone for 3 days last week. John was here the whole time, holding down the fort.
Yep.
Doing his thing. You know, I did hear something you did talking about Travis Kelce with Michael Holley. And you were saying basically, like, Travis Kelce is putting on a voice and affectation.
Yes.
And Michael Holley being an African-American, you were saying to him, you know, look, Travis Kelce is talking like he doesn't really talk. He's basically doing the equivalent of, like, blackface, but with his voice.
Let me hear you say, oh!
I mean, and then, but it was funny. It was the only part of any show that I heard this week. And then Michael Holley was like, he's from blah, 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 like by Cincinnati or Cleveland or something. He's like, and it's like, all right, well, no, he doesn't talk like that in real life.
Yes.
And they just got $100 million. So they did get the Travis Kelce brothers got $100 million. And
Amazon just lighting money on fire. Yep.
And the thing, it's Amazon that gave it to him?
I think whatever company it is Amazon backed, if I remember correctly.
Okay. And so here's the deal. is that I'll hear broadcasters go, "Oh, that's good, and it's good that that people get paid a lot." Yeah, if someone good gets paid a lot of money, or even if someone bad gets paid a lot of money, and in the medium that you're in, that's good. With the problem with but this is different because it's going to be they're never going to recoup any of this money. Again, they're never good. I would contend that they're probably not as popular as they were, and they're never going to be this popular again.
Yeah, the high watermark for the Kelce brothers has been reached, and now it's ebbing.
I agree, and I just don't understand why they don't go. The content of the show's fine. It's I'm sure it's fine. I don't think it's good, but it's fine, and you're just banking. You're paying them banking on the fact that Travis Kelce is Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're doing. And we're going to get to it later, but that's the same thing that happened with McAfee. It's not good for broadcasters when they throw money at people that are going to fail, because then they're going to go, we lost all this. A, the company loses money.
Yes.
So there's no money to pay anyone else. And B, they go, oh, well, now we just can't, like, people aren't worth it. Like, every time we throw money at someone, it's not worth it.
But just in terms of things that I like to consume, if they're spending all this money on a couple of guys, and I haven't listened to 1 second of the Kelce Brothers podcast, so who knows? Maybe they're, doing a new season of Serial. Maybe it's the greatest thing I've ever heard. But something tells me it's just the two of them talking for a while until they press stop, and then they upload it, and it's done. So if they give all their money and commit all these resources to something like that, actual good podcasts that have people working on them, where they interview people and they research things and they go through something I think is just quite simply worth my time to listen to, those aren't going to get produced because they're not going to have the money to do it. I'm with you 100%.
Well,
the business model, to me, makes no sense. There's no way that podcast, the Kelce Brothers, recoups what they're getting paid to do it.
Did you get that email
chance.
from the guy that had a piece of an article, and the article was like, this guy produced podcasts, and they were successful, and they were optioned into movies and stuff. So there was this I don't know how you put it. There was this unexpected income that was coming from them. They were like, Hollywood studios were like, oh wow, we're gonna buy this. And not that the only, like, they're a good podcast. I told you there's like 2 podcasts I listen to and I like them, and they're long form interviews, but they're very niche. Like they wouldn't succeed in a like mass market thing. But the guy was saying, like, for what you gave the Kelce brothers, you could have produced, whatever, 30 or 40 of these podcasts that this company had done, and that they would have, and you would have had a built-in revenue thing that you would have made money. And say you make 40 podcasts and only 10 of them hit. Well, when your budget's not $100 million, you can recoup it with the ones that do.
Correct.
I don't think there's anyone in that industry. The podcast industry is very bad. First of all, like, Theo Von's a funny guy, and for the clips I see from his podcast are good. Like, I think he's like a good. I think he's very funny. And he got screwed out of money. Like, the companies, it's not good. And $100 million to the Kelce brothers, it's not. I'm telling you, there's very few things I know about, but I do believe I know about audio broadcasting. And I'm telling you that it's not going to be popular. It's not going to be a sensation, because Travis Kelce's 32 years old. If you had a fantasy draft, who do you take, Laporta or Kelce?
Right now, Laporta.
Yeah, I think we talked about this. Like, so he's not even the best tight end in football.
Yeah.
And then his brother doesn't play and was a center. And
wildly popular center, though. Wildly popular.
in Philadelphia. So if you want to give a, do you think John Kincaid that does mornings in Philadelphia makes $100 million?
No.
Now, if John Kincaid made $100 million, I'd be like, that's awesome. But throwing money at celebrities doesn't work. David Lee Roth, Whoopi Goldberg. I could go on and on and on. It just doesn't work. Name recognition doesn't work. And say the Joe Rogan podcast, say it's the most lucrative podcast there is. Joe Rogan wasn't a big-time stand-up comedian. Joe Rogan was doing it. Have you ever seen the first episode? He had Ari Shaffir on. His first episodes. Say Mark Maron. Mark Maron was a known comedian, but certainly not a big celebrity. In his first guest, I mean, this is 20 years ago, where Louis C.K., his friend, he just had his friends that were comics on, as did Joe Rogan. Things catch fire organically. Very rare. Look at when they threw money at the royal family, the people that are not in the son of Prince Charles, and they gave them tens of millions of dollars, and then
Meghan and Harry, but I like them.
You like them, but they didn't make any podcasts. And so people are like, well, Meghan and Harry, they could sit there and fart into the microphone and everyone's going to listen to them, but it doesn't work like that.
We do this for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. How did Holly with a straight face tell you that was he liked them, he said?
He liked them, but he was more along the lines of, I see what you're doing here. I see, he was doing that.
I heard him.
Yeah.
No, what you were doing was correct.
Yeah. No, I know what I was doing was correct.
You
I was very well aware.
You were saying that he is talking like I heard what you said. You said he talks like he's from the Queensbridge Projects or something like that.
Yeah, Bed-Stuy. And that was part of it, and I compared him to Tyler Hero to emphasize my point.
Well, yeah, and then Holly was like, Tyler Hero's different. No, it's not.
No, it's not. He's from suburban Milwaukee. He's not different at all.
And then he asked you about Eminem. And it's like, dude, where do you think Eminem went to elementary school?
Dude, have you been? I actually think I remember it saying, have you been to 8 Mile? I mean, are you aware of the surroundings?
That would be like going Hardy picked up a British accent yesterday, and because he was in Britain for a week, or Hardy grew up in England. Yeah. And that's why he talks that way.
And there's also something. I mean, there's if you're talking about Travis Kelce or Tyler Hero and them appropriating black culture, it is certainly connected to, but not ingrained in the fabric of what they do for a living.
Yep.
They play football and basketball, and then they're doing the culture thing kind of separately. For
Culture.
Yeah. For Eminem, what he's really good at, or I haven't heard the latest album, apparently maybe not so much recently, but what he has been really good at is unseparable from the culture. So if you say that Eminem is appropriating the black culture, well, A, to Fred's point, he did grow up in that culture, and B, that's part of what he does. It's not something to kind of tack onto it. No, that is absolutely connected to. You could say the same thing about Beastie Boys. You could say the same thing about anybody, any white person in hip hop. What they're doing as part of their art, as part of their vocation is, it's you can't separate it from.
Well, yes,
culture.
you can't. Well, I actually, there are rappers that are from. I don't think the Beastie Boys appropriated the way they talk. They talk like they talk. And I think Eminem just talks the way he talks. Again, it's if you grew up in France, you have a French accent. If you grow up where Eminem is like I mean, I'm sort of familiar with that area. I certainly wouldn't want to live there in Detroit. And I would imagine 5% of the kids, 4% of the kids at his school were white. And I would bet you that 85% of them were black. And if you grow up in that, you're going to, you just pick up it's from being from Boston. It's like Wiggins talks with that East Boston accent. It's not, if he grew up in Alabama, you would be like, why are you talking with an East Boston accent? So I thought when you said Bed-Stuy, that kind of is the right thing. Because, if I'm like nappy roots, and I'm from Kentucky, even though I'm gonna have a Southern accent. I mean, I'm just a rapper. I don't know. I just I found it shocking and disappointing for Michael Holley. But listen,
I knew it, you knew it, but they ain't know it.
oh yeah, that's just awful.
That's offensive.
He's really something.
I mean, Michael Holley should be the one who's offended, and if he's not, he's not. So who am I to speak for him?
Funny thing is, on that podcast, he turns it off and is back.
Of course he does.
He turns it off.
He wanted $100 million.
Yeah, no, of course it is. Of course it. All the clips that I've seen from that podcast are them talking to Jason Kelce's wife or Jason Kelce's kids, say hi to Uncle Travie. You know, every clip I've ever seen is that.
Yeah.
And you would figure the clips they post online to try and reel people in would be the good stuff, right? So apparently that's the sizzle reel. The speaking of family and what best moment ever is when you took your shirt off at the Buffalo game when I scored a touchdown, and that, I mean, all right, enough. That's enough. You can take that for maybe an episode. I can't imagine anyone going back.
No,
Why would you go back?
There's no way you're getting any bang for your buck advertising on that thing. You're just not. You're not. There's no way that people are listening to that. Just like there's no way that people are listening to 2.5 hours of Joe Rogan talking to a physicist. It's just not happening. There's no way that a mass audience is. Like, I listen to that Rich Roll podcast, and he has people on that I'm interested in, but I don't think, like, I think that I'm like one of, 10,000, 20,000 people that would be interested in that at that particular time. And that was just one of the reasons is because he's sober. So I don't know. All right. We'll be back. So much. You know what? You could. I don't know. I don't want to put words in Hardy's mouth, but you're BC Eagles.
Yeah.
Go BC.
With Bill O'Brien.
I know, what else you want to talk about? I mean, that's it.
I watched that first half. Don't think I didn't. We'll be back in just a moment.
with Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Did you catch the game last night?
Hey, everybody. We are Toucher and Hardy. And Hardy, what happened last evening, if you could be so kind?
The big college football matchup after a big weekend of college football.
Did you find yourselves watching college football?
Yes.
I did not.
Yeah, there was nothing that interested me. Now, my NC State, who I'm very high on, who I have, the win total of over, I believe, eight. It's 8-8 or 8.5, and then I have them on a flyer winning the ACC, which with Florida State, who knows? NC State losing at the half to like Sisters of the Poor. They were losing.
Really?
Yeah, they were losing to like the Citadel or something.
Well, yeah, Florida State's 0-2 in conference at the moment.
So there is some concern there.
Yeah, I have trouble sitting inside watching college football middle of the day when it's a nice day outside. It's the end of summer, and I thought about it. Like, no, there's too many other things I'd rather be doing. I'd rather be out doing stuff like. There'll be plenty of time for that, is what I feel like. It doesn't feel right at the end of August, being in September. I know people live for it and they love it. They spent the entire day on Saturday. I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you have something that you can, look forward to and appreciate. I can't appreciate it, not yet. You got to give me a couple more weeks before I invest.
My father, is a huge Tennessee fan. Because he's been in Knoxville for 20 years. So, of course, he's a big Tennessee fan now. It's so annoying. Yeah. It's so annoying. And then we were down at, like, on the dock at their lake, and he keeps reading. They won 69-3 over Chattanooga.
Oh, nice.
And he keeps reading the score out. And I'm like, you're from New York, and you've lived in Detroit and Pittsburgh. You're not a Tennessee fan. And B, you have literally no affiliation with that school. If you want to kind of adopt them, that's fine. But don't sit there reading the score like you're a champion because they're beating Chattanooga, and you keep reading it to me. It was very, very annoying.
Yeah.
And there's no team that I particularly care about, unless someone good loses.
And it's
that Georgia Clemson game was terrible.
Well, that's my point. Like, to sit down and say, I'm going to watch college football. Georgia 34-3 over Clemson. If you're Bert Breer, even if you're Bert, I can't wait to watch Ohio State game 1, 52-6 over Akron. Are you telling me that's something that you enjoyed? That's a product that you enjoyed consuming?
Well, he facilitates NIL deals, so I would imagine that he's very invested.
Now I'm looking for specific players. At this season, I'm looking for specific players that can help the Patriots next year. That's one. But the other is, I remember Kendra told us about she placed a bet for a Heisman on this kid Jackson Dart of Mississippi, and I thought it was kind of odd. Dart had a mammoth game last week. I mean, he's one of the leaders now in the Heisman running early on, but I found that interesting. And BC I always watch Boston College, always.
Yeah. Could you have gotten into BC?
I couldn't sniff BC. My academics weren't even nearly close enough,
really?
but I like college. I
So-
like college football.
I'm surprised. I thought you would have been, a big nerd.
Yeah,
The glasses are throwing you, huh? The glasses.
So you went through all the thing to be an orchestra, but you still got bad grades?
Yeah, I know.
Boy, you
Not
had
bad
nothing
grades.
going for you.
Not bad grades, just not grades that were good enough. I had a B average in high school.
Okay. Yeah, but you played woodwinds, which is you would figure that
kick it up to 3 points. Yeah,
you got to figure the trade-off is
glasses and woodwinds. My God, how did I not get into MIT?
That's exactly right.
What what deal did you make at what crossroads, John? Because this did not work out for you.
No, I know. I lost my soul.
Well, he did it. Well, you know when he made a deal with the Crossroads, he made it at Camp Young Judea when he left for the last time, and he turned his back on all of his religion.
No more Shabbat services.
B average. All right, so Boston College.
That would have been good for. I don't even know if I had a B average. I might have had a high C.
I had a 3.1, and the only reason I know that is because I was sitting at my guidance counselor's desk, and he had my folder open. That's it.
Yeah,
I might have had a 3.0. I might have had a 3.0.
Yeah, I was maybe like around a 3-1, 3-2, something like that. It was enough to like, you're in Michigan State. You are Michigan State material, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, great. And enough to where I think I applied to I think I got into Butler. But that was it. I didn't apply anywhere.
How many?
I applied to 1 million schools.
So did I. I applied to 8 schools.
Oh, no, I applied to more than that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because my grades, I got waitlisted at Michigan State. That's how. So I must have not had a 3-1. But I got.
I didn't know they did wait lists.
Yeah.
30 years ago.
I got into Western. But I got a 760 on my verbal on the SAT.
Whoa.
But Michigan State doesn't, like, I believe Michigan State just puts you in a computer and, like, it spits out if you get in or not. But small schools looked at my SAT scores and they said, oh, yeah, so when I went to Rollins, they put me in this, like, English class. And they're like, and then in here, Chaucer's referencing, or we were reading Beowulf, whoever wrote Beowulf. And they're like,
Baywatch. You even know the name of the book. Baywatch.
Play your own thing. Play your own thing. Come on. Come on. All right, that's one of those. And then, so there was Beowulf, and they're like, and this is referencing this one part of the Bible, and not like in a religious way, like the Bible is literature. And people were like, oh yeah. I go, I gotta leave. I go, I don't know. I don't know what you think I know, but it is not this, my friends.
Sorry.
No.
Can't do it.
All right.
So, but they do all that book learning at Boston College, and here they are taking on Florida State last night. How's that going to go? Bill O'Brien's debut as the head coach of your BC Eagles.
Robichaux up the middle with a flag down. He's in the end zone for a touchdown.
How about? Oh, that's very exciting.
Well, you got a Rochambeau.
Boston College stuns number 10 Florida State 28-13, the final last night, as Boston College defeats a top 10 team, I think for the first time in 10 years.
Easily.
Yeah, 2014.
Well,
they hadn't
put an asterisk on it, because the only reason they were a top 10 team is because there hasn't been a new poll since they lost to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, the Florida State quarterback is not
atrocious.
Good. DJ Uyunglele is his name. He flamed out at Clemson. He was Trevor Lawrence's replacement. He lasted 1 year, went to Oregon State, didn't do particularly well, so now he's back at Florida State. He's not good. He's not good at all. Florida State could finish 500 this year. I think this win, while it looks really good now, about, what do you think, 6 weeks from now? I don't know how this win's going to look.
I'll tell you this, is that who they have Missouri.
BC does, yes.
Yeah. BC has Missouri. They have Michigan State at home, but I think they're much better than Michigan State.
That's week 4. That's week 4.
Yeah. But so I got to go look at their schedule. But I'm telling you, look, they might make a decent bowl.
All right. As a guy who's followed BC football for a long time, there have been great wins. There have been terrible losses. One thing that is very true about BC football, and ever since Jack McNell left in the 80s, is that they will always win a game you don't think they're going to win and lose a game you don't think they're going to lose. And they usually finish 8-4, 7-5, 6-6.
All right. I know we're doing a lot of college football, but listen, NFL starts on Sunday, so this is it. BC, by the way, BC almost beat Florida State last year, remember?
Yep.
But they play some school whose name I can't pronounce next week.
Duquesne.
Okay, then it's Missouri who they'll lose to, but because they're at Missouri and they're not winning that game. But then you have Michigan State, Western Kentucky, Virginia Tech, who lost last week, Louisville, Syracuse. Syracuse was supposed to be better than them, but I don't think they might be. SMU, North Carolina, and Pitt. They could win.
They have a chance to win every single, other than Missouri, and I agree, Missouri is very good this year. Other than Missouri, and they brought this up on the broadcast at the end of the game last night, BC has a chance to win every single game left on their schedule. Look, this has, with Bill O'Brien in control, they were dominant yesterday.
Yes.
They ran for over 260 yards yesterday. They pushed that team around.
They won that. Like, it's not like Florida State, in my opinion, it's not like Florida State lost that game so much as BC won that game, if that makes sense.
Yes. They played ball control. They ran the ball down their throats. Castellanos is 5'11", 185 pounds, very quick, can get you a first down scrambling on 3rd and 7. You know, he's pretty good.
They doubled up Florida State on time of possession, which if Bill O'Brien can keep that going and not just have drives to nowhere, but put together drives that result in some kind of points. I mean, 6-7 minutes to open up the game. Florida State gets the ball back. They've got it for 40 seconds. I mean, that's a huge component in these, not overly elite, overly talented matchups. If you've got a couple of teams, you got a few players, how are you going to end up winning this football game? Number one, control the time of possession.
This is not
39:09 to 20:51.
Yeah, this is not a team that's going to go 4 or 5 wideouts and throw the ball all over the place. But once they get a lead, they're going to be tough to catch with an offense like that.
And they also have a gentleman by the name of Trayshawn Ward that Wallach and I were discussing in the wee hours this morning. 138 yards of offense. He had a 13-yard touchdown catch. He's on his 3rd school. He played for Florida State in pre-pandemic.
Yes, he dropped a would-be touchdown pass in the first quarter on BC's first or second possession.
This young man playing for Boston College was playing college football well before we ever heard of coronavirus, and he's out there getting it done last night for BC.
He refused to get vaccinated. That's why he's still alive.
So congratulations to Trayshawn Ward, Bill O'Brien, and, of course, your Boston College Eagles. Notching a big win to open up the season.
Short week, though. Short week. They played Saturday after playing Monday night.
Well, they played a school whose name I can't pronounce.
Duquesne.
Yeah, I don't know how that's Duquesne. That's like Chade.
It looks like Duquesne, but it's Duquesne.
Yeah, that's like every Boston. It's good they're playing in Boston because it represents every city here. You pronounce this like just it's XYZ. It's pronounced hello.
Yeah.
You don't get that?
Yeah, that's right.
The X is an H, and the Y is an E. You don't understand that?
It's Peabody. It's Worcester. Yeah.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment. We will continue to catch you up with everything that happened last night. We have some Finebaum stuff because college football is underway. Andrew Callahan's going to be on for an hour previewing this season. He had an interesting piece on how to watch the Patriots this year because we've kind of been on that too. How to watch the Patriots when they're not going to be good. How to watch a team banking on the future. We will get into that in great detail. It's all coming up.
Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots are missing starting offensive lineman Verdarian Lowe and City So at practice yesterday. Team also named its 6 captains: Jacoby Brissett, David Andrews, Jabril Peppers, Jawan Bentley, Joe Cardona, and Dietrich Wise. Patriots open up in Cincinnati this Sunday. Jamar Chase not at Bengals practice yesterday as his hold-in continues. Red Sox lost to the Mets 4-1. They're 4.5 games out of a playoff spot. And as we were just talking about, BC began the Bill O'Brien era with a massive upset, 28-13 at number 10 Florida State. They host Duquesne on Saturday. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today.
It's NFL week on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and they have a special offer to kick us off now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Just visit FanDuel.com/Fred to download America's #1 sports book. You got to be 21 or older and present in Massachusetts. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds, terms and restrictions and embargoes apply. Hope is your gambling helpline at May.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Played smart from the start. Game sense at May.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234.
Are you looking for better propane savings and service?
Fletcher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you
Or
are.
who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5, the Sports Hub app.
Hey, everybody. We are Toucher and Hardy. Brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Hardy, what's going down in the streets, my friend?
Very quickly, we should check in with Bill O'Brien. I mean, I don't know how. Maybe they'll win out. Maybe they'll go undefeated, except for that Missouri game.
Yeah.
But let's let the man take a victory lap here. Come on, champ. How'd you get it done yesterday against Florida State?
Yeah, that was a big part of the game plan. You know, I think the number one key on defense was to be able to tackle in space, and I thought our guys did a great job of that. The first guy in got these guys on the ground. There's some great athletes at Florida State, and that was a big key. That'll be a big key for us the rest of the year.
All right. So, once again, big win for Boston College yesterday, 28-13 over Florida State to start their season, and a win for Bill O'Brien in his first head coaching game for Boston College.
Yeah, Florida State's supposed to have an NFL defensive front, and they were able to move them around.
They just missed the semifinals last year. I mean, they literally on the last day got knocked out. Well, I think they finished 5th instead of 4th, where they would have gotten in a playoff game.
Well, everyone knows that. Yeah, they were undefeated. I mean, that's how Florida State didn't get in. They were undefeated, and they should have been in, and they weren't put in. They won the ACC. They were undefeated, and they were ostracized. That was completely unfair. Well, I don't even know. Now it's a 12-team playoff, so the point is moot. But, again, I don't even know why if you're a Power 5 conference, you go undefeated, and you win the conference championship. I don't understand how they can keep you out. Then there's just no reason to play the regular season. They should just put the SEC and Big Ten in and call it a day and just get rid of the ACC like they're getting rid of everything else. All right, go ahead.
It's week 1 of the NFL, and the Patriots are getting ready. They've named their captains. They rattled them all off. That accidentally forgot one in the first listing of all the captains. David Andrews.
Oh, Lonnie Paxton?
Usual suspects in there. No, it was Nico Kudavidis. They forgot to mention
what a
him.
pull that is.
And Buddy Farnham.
He was around.
I didn't even know. I didn't know Buddy Farnham made the team, but apparently he did.
Wow.
They actually,
you did that post game for far too long.
He really did.
My God.
I guess Cattles in Perillo really got into it.
I heard this.
In fact, Mike, if you can find Cattles in Perillo, I think on Friday.
Noontime. I think they blew through the break at noon.
They got into it. I would actually like to hear that. Cattles in Perillo, Friday around noon, I guess really got into it. And it wasn't a situation where I think Cattles was the only one being a dick. I think they both were.
Oh.
Is what I've heard. I was emailed this a couple times by our kind listeners. You got to check this out.
All right.
Like they're like legit pissed at each other, and Hardy would know because he got very mad at Cattles one time. So this is a whole thing.
And I did 6 years with Perillo pre and post, and I think we had 1, maybe 2, where it was Perillo mad at me because I was being
you being yourself.
I was purposely trying to get his goat, and
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't suffering through it. But I mean, you do 2 hours with no breaks of a pre and a post, especially for these last 3 seasons.
And you start talking about Buddy Farnham.
Well,
I understand.
you have a lot of opportunity to get on each other's nerves.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Paul and I ever got into it. Maybe just that one time, a tiny little bit. Anyway, Rob Mayo announcing the captains yesterday.
Andrews, Bentley, Peppers, Joe Cardona, and Dietrich Wise. Those are our captains for this year. And look, they embody everything.
They embody being superstars.
Did he mention a quarterback in there?
Yeah, usually a quarterback is a captain.
Andrews, Bentley, Peppers, Joe Cardona, and Dietrich Wise. Those are our captains for this year. And look, they embody everything that we preach about each and every day. Oh, sorry. And Brissett. Sorry. Good catch. So,
wow. Forgot the starting quarterback.
And by good catch, that might be the only time he says it all season. He's getting it out of the way now.
Don't make any. They don't read anything into it. They are 1,000% behind this kid.
I made sure that he understood that he has the full support of not only his teammates but also the organization for him to go out there and perform at the level that we know he can.
Yeah.
4 games.
We're all behind you, champ.
Statement.
Go get him.
Yeah. So there you go. That's who the Patriots are going with, and the captaincy. It's been a big deal for those.
Oh, they're going to wear the C this year.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. Big deal on this team.
Okay, so who's the backup? What's the plan? Who's going in? Should something happen to Jacoby Brissett?
If Jacoby was to get injured in the first week, 1,000% Drake would be the next guy and as the number 2 quarterback on our roster. Well, he has no other choice. He's our second string quarterback.
Yeah, that's an issue for me. That really is an issue for me. I've seen it. If the plan is not to play May, then I don't and people that cover the team have said, don't worry about it, but I don't like the idea of him coming into a game and struggling and then having to scramble for a veteran because Zappe signed with someone else.
Kansas City.
So
practice squad. They could theoretically they could sign him back if the team's on. If you're on a practice squad, you can get poached by anybody.
Yeah, I know, but getting a veteran in the building, I mean, you can't catch him up in 4 days, right? So if May comes into a game because Brissett's hurt, May's your starting quarterback, and if that happens too quickly, there's mounds and mounds of evidence that that's not a good thing. And you're not going to like this because it's a team that I mention all the time, but that's what happened to Zach Wilson 4 plays into last season. Aaron Rodgers blew his Achilles. Zach Wilson was supposed to sit the entire year and learn behind Aaron Rodgers. He came in, he had to start, and wasn't starting at the end of the year. He was on the bench behind guys that I don't even remember who played quarterback.
Tim Boyle, right? Was it Boyle?
Yeah, Boyle, and then other jackasses that I can't even remember their names. None of them are on the team. But that if you're not going to play him, oh, man, this insistence on hanging on to Milton is really bugging me. Oh, by the way, if you want to know how good Joe Milton is, Joe Milton, that Tennessee team wasn't that so good last year. They scored 63 points. It's amazing what that team can do with Joe Milton on the field. And I know they played Chattanooga, but Lockhart could tell you that Tennessee offense is go, 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 go. Like they probably take 10 seconds between plays. You get in the quarterback Tennessee has pretty good, but you put anybody in there and you'll see what they can do. Milton sucks. This idea that they hung on to him at the expense of May is troubling. That's troubling to me. Well, someone might pick up Milton. Well, good. He's a 6th-round pick. Go let him be someone else's problem. He's never going to play for you. He's just not. I was in Tennessee. I asked everyone in Tennessee Joe Milton, and they shook their heads.
They're intrigued, Fred. He might be a football player, is what he might be. He makes plays with his feet. He's got a cannon for an arm, and the kids love him. Yeah. There might be something there.
Yeah, all you need is a strong arm.
You don't know.
No, I think I do.
Let those guys down in Foxborough do this for a living. You just trust them to make the right decision.
Well, then they got to hear from me because I do the Sports Talk Radio.
Oh, okay.
All right, let me tell you. Let's go through you want to see how the kid from Tennessee did in the game?
You got a box score for me?
I do. You want to know what Joe Milton when they don't have Joe Milton?
Yeah, what did he do?
All right, this kid, by the way, didn't play the whole game. He played the first half and then about half the third quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. Let's see here. He was 22 for 28, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a rating of 208.1. Mm-hmm. And while you're talking, I'm going to look up what Joe Milton did at the beginning of last season.
All right.
Because it's not good.
Yeah, 30 points against Austin P were very impressive last year.
Is that what he did?
That's game 2 of the season.
Yeah, he played Austin P and they won. Yeah.
They won like 30-13.
Yeah, he couldn't run that offense. He couldn't run. They were great with Hooker, huh?
Hendon Hooker, yes.
Hendon Hooker. Then they get Milton and they blow, or they're not up to their standards. Mm-hmm. Then they put this kid. I understand it's against Chattanooga, but my goodness.
So you would have rather the Patriots kept Bailey Zappi?
No, not necessarily.
Well,
that's a good point, but not necessarily. But bring in a veteran, to be your backup quarterback. Even if May's your backup in the game, fine. Like you throw him in. But you got to have a guy that can start a few games if you're not ready to put May in. Because if you don't start May in week 1, you don't want to start him, right? That you've made the decision you don't want to start him for his development. So if Brissett gets hurt, you throw that out the window, and now he's your starting quarterback. That doesn't make any sense. Either sit the kid or don't sit the kid.
Half measures, Fred.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. It's half measures. It's nonsense.
But I would have said keep Zappi then. You know what he is, and if you're already projecting this season at 4.5 wins to be about what last season was, Zappi started games for you last year. You know what that looks like. Okay, it's just going to be a reasonable facsimile to last year while you're placeholding while Drake May is getting ready. What's wrong with that?
That was a
there's
calculated gamble.
plenty wrong with it. But it's not putting.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter what the quarterback even does while he's in there. It's that you're not forcing May to play. The idea is that so one bad hit or one bad cut, and now May's your starting quarterback. And that wasn't the plan.
Right.
If the plan is not to play him, have someone to play. You can't pick up a quarterback and teach him the offense in 4 days. And Joe Milton's useless. Useless. 6 years of college football, he blew. I mean, he started all over the place. He started at Michigan and got usurped 4 games in or something. He started at Tennessee. He was supposed to beat Hooker out. And Hooker beat him out at Tennessee.
I think he's an exciting, dynamic player. I just hope he gets a shot. I want to see him play.
I'm telling you, Patriots fans, you should be pissed off they were afraid to lose him. You really should be. Because he can. All right, so now what if Brissett and May get hurt? You really want to have some fun? Put that guy in when defenses are trying. He might throw 6 picks in a row.
Yeah, but he might throw one out of the stadium. You've never seen a football go that far.
Yeah, because you're the greatest quarterback of all time had a real cannon.
Wait, are you comparing Joe Milton to Tom Brady?
Yes, and he's losing the comparison.
Oh, but it's a conversation.
I'll compare him to Ken O'Brien.
It's a conversation.
And he loses. I'll compare him to Tony Eason, and he loses.
Ooh, wait a minute.
Oh, no, he's worse than Tony Eason. Tony Eason was a good college quarterback.
Tony Eason's head coach didn't like him.
No, because he was a pussy. But the thing is that, hey, he was a first-round pick in the draft.
He was.
He did something in college. He was taken before Dan Marino.
Yep.
All right.
He stinks. Stop talking about Milton. This isn't about Milton. This is about May. And my father kept telling me, Chattanooga's supposed to win the Southern Conference. They're no lapdog.
He actually said that to you?
He just is insufferable. Everything he says bothers me. It takes everything in me not to just constantly snap.
So you had all that time by yourself, no buffer, no kids to shove in your parents' face. No, it was just you.
I'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get it.
I'll get into it. Come on.
Red Sox briefly, after winning a game against the Tigers to start that set over the weekend, they not only ended up losing the series, but lost to the Mets last night. In the last 3 games, the Red Sox have scored 3 runs. So offense is wilting.
It's time. This is when the talented teams kick it into gear.
It's not like they're an old collie. It's time.
It's time.
Why don't they call up? Have they called up any of these kids?
No, actually, the roster's expanded, obviously, September 1st, and the kids stayed put.
They would know better. Well, I know he's hurt. I know
Teal is really struggling at AAA.
All right.
He's hitting
Fair
under
enough.
150.
Okay,
4.5 games out of the wild.
All right,
card
so
spot.
it makes sense. It makes sense.
You could promote Campbell. That kid Campbell, who's hitting very well, and Roman Anthony. Those two, Anthony and Campbell, are playing well, but they just got to AAA. And Teal, while defensively apparently very, very good, can hit.
Well, if he's not hitting in AAA, then
not.
I wouldn't bring him up. I mean, I'm not following it well enough, so I'm glad that you informed me, because this would be the time generally you'd want to. I mean, you're not making the playoffs, so you'd like to kick around what these kids can do. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. We were all just on vacation. We can fill you in with everything that happened in just a moment.
Toucher and Hook. WABC FM and HD Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots players are back at practice yesterday after a 3-day break with the regular season opener coming up Sunday in Cincinnati. Starting left tackle Verdarian Lowe and starting left guard Sidy Sow were not on the field, but Lowe is at least present at the workout. The team also named its 6 captains: Jacoby Brissett, David Andrews, Jabril Peppers, Jawan Bentley, Joe Cardona, and Dietrich Wise. As for the Bengals, they may very well be without their top offensive player when they play the Patriots. Jamar Chase's hold-in continued yesterday. He was present but did not participate in practice as his contract negotiations with the team continued. The Red Sox lost last night 4-1 to the Mets in the opener of a 3-game series at Citi Field. Sox have lost 8 of 11. They're only 2 games over 500, but they're somehow only 4.5 games behind Kansas City for the final playoff spot in the American League with 24 games to go. They visit the Mets again tonight. Boston College opened up their season with a huge road upset win. Quarterback Thomas Castellanos ran for 1 score and added a pair of TD passes. BC beat number 10 Florida State 28-13 in Game 1 of the Bill O'Brien era.
There's only 12 opportunities. So we have to do a good job of trying to take advantage of every single day, every single preparation, and then every single game. And I think that's going to be very important for us. But I'm very proud of the guys and the way they played tonight.
They'll be back home to play Duquesne on Saturday. And in tennis news, the top seed Iga Swiatek and Jannik Sinner both won yesterday to reach the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the $14.99 Big Deal Meal at the Nines. 4 new hearty full-size entrees like the roasted turkey dinner, available every Monday through Wednesday for just $14.99. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Now, more Tuncher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Hello, 617-779-0985. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Go ahead and do that. I was on vacation. I went to East Tennessee to my 82-year-old parents' home. This was the first time, maybe ever, I was there, without a friend, because when they've been there 23 years. When I was in Atlanta when they first moved there, and I remember I took 2 friends that had nowhere else to go up to Tennessee for Thanksgiving. And, just I'm that kind of guy.
That's how you treated them? You took them to Tennessee?
Yeah, well, they had nowhere else to go.
Obviously.
It was a lot. They gave me frankincense and all these things as a gift.
What are the 3 gifts? What are the
was
gifts
one of them like myrrh?
Myrrh, that's right.
Yeah, frankincense, myrrh.
Yeah, what's the third one? Bright boy.
Astroglide.
Wallach, do you know?
No idea.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Once you renounced your faith, you learned all this.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I knew frankincense and myrrh.
It's not in a. It's got to be. And no joke. It's got to be in a lot of Hallmark movies. They have to reference it.
That's a good point.
It's the easiest one.
Osmosis, I would know. I have no idea.
Cinnamon.
Gold.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Nice.
I don't have any idea. Have you ever smelled frankincense? Not the best. All right. So I fly in. And I fly in. You can't fly.
So what day did you leave?
Wednesday.
Okay, so
I didn't work.
Didn't work on Wednesday. You flew out on Wednesday.
Yeah, I went to the gym. I hung out with my kids, and then I was off to Tennessee.
Took a late afternoon flight.
I did.
That's dangerous.
And it was because it was raining very hard in Detroit, where my connection was. You can't fly direct to Knoxville unless you take an airline where it looks like you were trying to get the Paris Hilton sex tape 25 years ago. When you go to their website, it's just all pop-ups. And so I had like a long layover, but I barely made my connection. So I get into Tennessee. It's probably, let's say, by the time I get my bags, 11:30 at night.
Oh,
I haven't ate all day, literally. I had not had food that day.
You didn't do a pre-fuel before you went to the gym?
No, I don't pre-fuel, baby, because I'm burning fat because that is what works.
Oh, you're in. Okay.
I'm in a state
keto.
of ketosis.
Yeah.
And so that's why I had oatmeal.
Do you
this
pee on
morning.
the strips? Make sure you're in proper state.
That whole not only Gladys Knight. So I go and it's like 11:30, and I go to this fast food restaurant. I won't mention it.
Arby's.
And it was not Arby's. Arby's, again, which I did mention because it's their fault, had a woman that had lesions all over her arms handing out food.
How's that Arby's corporate fault? You can't blame them for that.
No, but I do. If I was the franchisee of the Arby's, I'd be like, hey, lady, like, get your lesions under control before you start handing out food.
Just a quick aside, if that Arby's wants to send me, like overnight meat, beef and cheddar's, curly fries, I'll eat them tomorrow. And the woman you're speaking of can pack them. I'll eat them.
All right. Well, I don't believe you if you saw her. I mean, it looked like she had leprosy. So anyway, I'm in this. There's the drive-through line's really long because we're in Alcoa, Tennessee, and that doesn't make it easier to find which place I was at.
Your parents picked you up from the airport?
It's Tennessee. We've been through this. There's no cab stand, and you can't get an Uber.
I'm not.
You were about to start and get me off my story.
I'm not. It's 11:30 at night, and your 80-year-old parents picked you up at the airport.
Yes, they picked me up at the airport.
Okay.
And so I got to this Taco Bell, and I'm sitting, and I go inside. I just said the name of the restaurant. Because you stop stopping me in the middle of the conversation and what I'm saying.
So I didn't know I wasn't allowed to talk in a conversation. My apologies.
I'm trying to tell the story. So I'm in this place. It's an unnamed place, and I order the food, and I'm sitting there.
Bell.
I'm sitting there for like really 25 minutes, and during the time I'm sitting there, I swear to God this is true. I swear to God, a woman who works there is behind the counter. And she goes, I'm sorry, but I got to take an S. Walks from behind the counter into the dining area, around and into the bathroom. She announced she had to take a crap.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I put this on Instagram, and there were a couple women that were like, women go to the bathroom too. And I went, oh, yeah, that's the point. Now, it made it grosser that it was a woman. But announcing you're about to go take a dump while you're in the back making and handling food is a little. Now, I understand that it happens, that even the great Michelin chefs will take a dump during work. But I don't know if it's there were people in the. I'd say there was 15 people like sitting around in the like dining area.
That's impressive for 11:30 on a Wednesday night.
Well, it's Alcoa, Tennessee. I mean, it's a real situation.
Well,
there were people. There were like 20-year-olds in suits. They were coming back from some formal or something. They were like University of Tennessee kids or something. But there were people like in formal suits. She announces that she has to take a dump. I was so hungry that I did consume the food that was handed to me. Now, she did not hand it to me. I did not see her leave the bathroom. So to mine, because I kept an eye on it, and to my knowledge, my food was prepared and delivered to me without. She had been working the register, so maybe she wasn't handling food. But nonetheless, I think I can't think you're married to the register. I think if there's a situation, you got to go back and start making.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
yeah. You got to be multifaceted in one of those jobs.
Especially since they're bringing back the Mexican pizza.
It's back. It's been back.
Yeah, I used to love that when I was a kid. So I'm there with my parents, and they're 82 years old. And you've heard the struggles of my father. If you start talking to my father and he gets interested in what he's talking about, he takes his foot off the accelerator. Freddie doesn't. Yes, he does. You'll be going down the freeway and he'll get all excited and take his foot off the accelerator and start looking at you and literally go down to 25 miles an hour on I-40 for real.
So don't bring up Tennessee football when you're on the interstate.
Or anything. Like there's the worst thing is there's this huge Trump superstore that's like you can see it from the freeway.
Yeah.
And the first time you see it, it's interesting because you're like, it's a superstore. It's not just a Trump store. Usually, you don't see like the Nixon superstore or the Clinton superstore. Like, like this is odd. A former president could be again has got a superstore. Like, what the hell do they sell in there? Well, I can tell you what they sell: huge banners that people on the golf course put up on their decks. And I'm like, who are you trying to convert? And then my father gets into like a big thing. I'm like, you're speaking. That would be like me putting a Harris banner on my house. Who are you convincing? You live in Massachusetts. There's no chance she's not winning it.
Hanging a Patriots banner outside your home in Foxborough.
Exactly.
Yeah,
this isn't 1984. I mean, this isn't a Mondale situation. Like Harris is winning Massachusetts and Trump is winning Tennessee. It's happening. I don't know what you're trying to do. But now my mother has got it into the act. And this happened 3 times. She'll take a right turn and the person behind us will start frantically honking, and she'll go, "What? Why are they honking at me?" "Oh, you pulled right in front of them. You pulled right in front of them." And she goes, "What? I looked." "Well, you didn't look hard enough."
Yeah.
No, they're just honking at you for that reason.
Mom, it's left, right, then left again. Learned that one early on.
Yeah.
3 times. 3 looks.
Yeah. And so she's almost getting into accidents, and so I play golf with them. And they're in a cart together, and it's me in a cart because I hit the ball further than them.
Than the 82-year-olds.
Yeah, they don't go fast. And there's a couple things that happen. Is that all I hear from their cart is yelling. They're just yelling at each other the entire time. They're just I've realized some things now that I didn't realize in the past. They're just yelling at each other the entire time. So the first we played 2 9-hole rounds, and the first time, and the course is crowded as hell, and I'm like, doesn't it bother you, Dad? Because he does that like free work for their marketing, and they've gotten like this huge influx of people. There's 5,500 houses in this area, and and it started when he moved there with 2,000. So my dad's very good at marketing, and he's like the head of the whole thing. He does it for free for whatever reason. And I'm like, doesn't it piss you off now that the golf course, you have to wait for everyone? And he's like, no, it's great. And I'm like, well, why is it so good? He's like, well, you want people playing it. The courses are very well maintained. I'm like, you want to wait? Oh. This is what you want to wait. He's arguing with me that that it's good that you have to wait. So anyway, we're behind this whatever and then there's people behind us, and the people behind us are waiting for us, and we're waiting for the people in front of us. But my dad has always been so paranoid about people upsetting strangers, and my mom too, that they drive up to the guy and they're like, "Why don't you play through?" I'm meanwhile, 200 yards in front of them, trying not to hear them yell at each other. I still can. 220 is the magic number where you can't hear them anymore. 220 yards is where the sound dissipates.
Sure.
And I can't tell you the feeling of just stress, that it's just that it's really a physical feeling of stress.
Yeah.
So the next thing I know, these people are passing me, and they're like, "We're going to go on ahead if it's okay with you." And I'm like, "Why?" There's there's people right up there. And they're like, "Oh, we're just practicing, and the people you're playing with are like, it's cool." And I go, "All right." So we finished the hole, and now there's a guy, there's the and they're hitting their approach shots onto the green. The people that pass us are waiting at the tee.
So you were waiting on every shot anyway.
And then it's us. Then the next time we go play golf, I'm sitting in another cart. It was the same time. It was the people who had passed us. It was a woman and a man. And the woman's like, "Oh, hey," like she was nice. And she's like, oh, you guys are together. I didn't even know you guys were together. So obviously he's your son. And they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" My parents go, "Oh, yeah, we've lived here. We've lived here for 23 years. And they go, "Oh, that's a long time. Things have changed a lot." And they go, "Where are you from?" And my dad goes, we moved here from Detroit. And before that, we were in Pittsburgh. But New York before that. And she's like, huh? And I'm like, I'm from Boston. I'm from Boston. You asked me where I'm from. I'm coming here from Boston. And then they move on, and my mom and I are laughing, and they're like, wow, you just gave her your life story. And my dad goes, oh, no, that's what she wanted. That's what she wanted me to do. She was asking everywhere I effing lived. That was her question.
Well, it sounds
she
like
said, old man, spin me a yarn. How many places have you lived? And then I go, and like an idiot, I go, come on, Dad. No, she was asking where I was from. No, Freddie, no. And I go, she wanted to know everywhere you've lived. That was her question. Freddie, that's how it is here. People are nice here.
Yeah, they want
That's
to
how
visit.
it is here. Yeah, they want to visit. They want to know 82-year-old man who's lived here for 23 years. Can you tell me everywhere? Where'd you go to high school? Yeah, who was your favorite teacher? What was your favorite TV show growing up? You know, we're jawing here for 2 seconds. That's I'm trying to be nice. Tell me everywhere you lived. That's obviously it. And it's not even that he did that. It's that he argues with me that because I'm the moron who's correcting him. There's no correcting him.
Right.
There's no correcting him. There's no correct. And then he's like telling my mom, hurry up. My dad can't. I mean, they're old, like, so they're going to go slow. My dad, hurry up, Lynn, hurry up. Freddie, hurry up. Your ball's way to the right. It's in the middle of the fairway. Like, why are you even saying anything, Mr. Magoo? And then he gets up to the tee box, and every time, Hardy, he gets up to the tee box, and rush. You got to rush. And he reaches in his pockets.
Oh yeah.
And he drops the ball, and then he goes and he takes his glove and he slowly puts his glove on in the tee box, Mr. Rush. And then, it's not his fault, but then he takes the tee out and puts it on the ground. So he throws the ball in the tee on the ground. He hasn't they're waiting for me to hit before them. Put your glove on. And then he sits there, and then it's not his fault at this point, and it would just be being mean to care, but it takes him forever to get the ball on the tee because he's all old. He's out of his mind. Oh, the corrections. Apparently, literally, did you know this? In some states, if you want an abortion, when you're having the kid, they just kill it. When you're giving birth, they just kill the kid. This is the theory of my father.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
boy.
That's another theory
Fred,
of my father.
you need to cherish these moments.
I remind myself that all the time, but it's an awful lot. It's an awful lot.
I would say
I don't even know if this is gonna. I'm gonna ask you guys this in seriousness, and just tell me if you think this is if you think I'm a dick for this. We're waiting at the starter's place for the starter, and my parents are in a cart behind me, and my dad comes moseying up to the cart, and he goes, "Hey, Freddie, I found something. I found something in my bag." And so I'm intrigued. And I go, "Oh, yeah?" And he goes, "One of Milo's golf gloves." And he hands it to me, and I go, "What do you want me to do with this?" And he goes, "Oh, Jesus, Fred," and walks away. Like he had given me something.
Well,
my point was, what do you want me to do with this?
Put it in your pocket and bring it home to Milo
and cherish it forever.
Put the used golf club, put it in my pocket so it's in my pocket all day.
Cherish
oh my God,
forever.
yes. So what? Oh, maybe they could carry it around for you while they drive you back to the airport at midnight 3 days later.
It had been in his bag for a couple years, and he had just come across it, so I'm sure it was well in the way.
I don't know why you go see him if you don't want to talk to him, or you don't want to spend time with him, and everything they do annoys you.
Oh, that wouldn't annoy you at all. When your mom was here, you were not annoyed in the least.
But
I see them because you love them, but they're annoying. I mean, they're annoying.
But that's
people.
pretty minor. It's like, hey, I found your kid's golf club. What do you want me to do with that? Yeah,
Well,
you were
not,
being a dick.
That's not how I said it.
How'd you say? All right,
I go, okay, what do you want me to do with it? Is what I said. I didn't yell at him.
You could just say thanks and then throw it away.
Well, that'd be me more of a dick, I think, if I just took it and threw it out the cart.
No, you wait till you're 220 yards away, and then they don't see you do it.
Yeah, so it's a whole scheme. It's a whole scheme. Do you know one Christmas, my dad gave my mom a 3-ring binder full of restaurant menus, and he's like, we can get takeout whenever you want. And then my mom, because we ate out every night, my mom's like, this is such a treat because your father won't eat out, and so he gave her just crap. He printed out a bunch of menus, put them in a 3-ring binder.
You know what? But that required some effort on his part.
Yeah, I guess he could have given her a popsicle stick house too.
Did you give Milo the glove yet?
I did not take the glove home.
What?
He doesn't play golf, Artie. So there's a lot of twists to that story. I think the reaction was a little harsh on his point.
Doesn't play golf, but he had his own golf glove. Can't have money.
He was given clubs for Christmas last year. You know how many times he's played with them?
None.
Maybe never. Very good. I sent my dad out. I said, he gave me just like the cheapest set of clubs you can. And he's like, okay. And he came back and he goes, they were $2,000. We were going to give you this, and this for Christmas, but now we're not because it's going into Milo's bag. I said, okay. So they gave me problems for Christmas because I had to go cancel them. They gave me a 6-month gym membership, and I had to go to the gym and cancel it.
Which is very easy to do generally. Gyms love
so you know what they were like? They were like, here's some errands. Merry Christmas. If you could get my pants taken in a little bit, and we need eggs.
It's not like it was a
Merry
binder.
Christmas.
That's not like a binder full of recipes. Merry Christmas. Now go make me dinner every night.
They were takeout.
Oh.
Well, it's better than the Christmas that we had when I was growing up with my dad. My dad would go to Kmart on Christmas Eve, and he gave my mom tennis balls in vacuum bags.
Was that the Weird Al year?
No,
That was different?
That was a peaceful year. No, the year that he gave her vacuum bags in tennis balls was the year I gave her the Air Supply album.
Oh, that's right.
And she started crying me and telling me what a terrible son I was, and just cried the whole time we were opening up gifts.
Jesus.
Wow. I mean, my dad did give her tennis balls in vacuum bags. I mean, it was not a joyous Christmas. Very good.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but man.
Yeah, John, stop laughing.
Good Lord.
It's very painful. All right. We'll be back. We'll discuss Brady. There's stuff going on in sports media. Brady's got some hurdles he's got to clear before his big broadcast, and Patrick McAfee does not care for the haters. We'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned.
thought Sharon Hardy, this is the sense, No Effects playing their last show. Mike Lockhart was there. I forgot to ask you. No Effects, their final shows ever in Boston, Massachusetts, a 2-day affair. Were they good? Apparently, Tim Brennan from the Dropkicks is not mad at me. I reached out to him after you told you, because I know they opened up for No Effects. I said, you haven't talked to me in a while. Are you mad at me? And he's not mad at me. I figured I'd done something bad. All right. Tommy Brady is going to start broadcasting games. He's getting paid $1 billion to do it because he is a big name. But there is an issue, Mr. Hardy.
Yes. The very fact that he is trying to become part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders has triggered these restrictions from the NFL. So this is reported by Fox Sports, ESPN, the NFL.com has a story about it. And it is, quote, Brady is not permitted to attend in-person or online broadcast production meetings and may not have access to team facilities, players, or coaches. The rest of the Fox staff, of course, is not subject to these limitations, but he has to abide by the league constitution and bylaws that prohibit public criticism of officials and other clubs, but is allowed to broadcast Raiders games. So, essentially, Brady being offered up reportedly a 7% stake in the Las Vegas Raiders by owner Mark Davis for reasons which I still don't completely understand. Here, I've got this super valuable thing that grows in value every single year after year after year. Do you want some?
Sure.
Why are you offering this to me? Oh, because I want you hanging around. I want you to be friends, and I want you to be one of my owners.
He needs friends.
So the fact that he is even attempting to do this prohibits him from doing all the things required of the play-by-play and the color analyst going into a game. You go into the production meeting, you sit down in the facility, you talk with the coach, you talk with the players, you talk with the OCs. You do all this stuff in the days leading up to the game. Brady can't do any of it. Not allowed to.
So he can't do the job. I mean, it makes sense that you can't let a guy who, I don't know, owns another team go in and watch your practices.
It makes sense.
Yep.
And
Well, no, you can't. I mean, it's unfair. It's that's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But that, if the whole point is you fly into it, we've talked to these guys a million times, Harlan and Iron Eagle and like all this stuff. You know, we have them on all the time, and they fly into the town. They go, they meet with all the people. Now, if I'm a coach, I'm not saying anything to Brady. I mean, just whatever they normally do. But if I'm like, Andy, unfortunately, Let's Go is back. And this morning it was on and Andy Reid was on, and I couldn't tell you what he said. So he is talking to coaches, at least interviewing them. There's nothing I dislike more. It's more disappointing than when Let's Go is on. but of course he can't do that. But if the whole point is that you're going to go and learn about the team and learn about the goings on and watch practice, and that's invaluable to the broadcast, and he can't do it, then he shouldn't be broadcasting. And if I was another color commentator, I'd be like, why do I have to sit through this boring crap? In this guy who you're paying all the money to that's in your A chair doesn't have to do it. If he wants to own the Raiders, own the Raiders. He doesn't need the money. Don't do the football games.
But Fox doesn't want him to not do the games. This is their big push. This is their big plan. This is, I mean, for them, I don't know what else they have to point to in terms of an exciting way to get you to watch football outside of the actual games. This was their big splash. So I don't know what you do if you're Fox. And if you're Brady, you're already up against it going into a brand new job that you've never done before. It's not like you have any experience in this whatsoever. So how do you convince yourself and everyone else around you that you're going to be good at this, despite the fact that now you're hamstrung by one of the maybe the biggest piece of preparation for this, going in and talking with the teams ahead of time and doing the sit down so you can bring this stuff up during the broadcast. All right, we just saw that play they ran on 3rd and 2. You know, we talked with the offensive coordinator last week. They said they've been working on this, and they're trying to get away from the big chain-moving play on that play. They're just trying to get enough blah, blah, blah. This is all stuff that adds to the broadcast. He's not going to be a part of that.
He legit doesn't need to go to these games. He could sit at home and do this from his living room. Right?
Well,
there's no reason for him to travel anywhere. He can't meet with anybody. He can't analyze. He's watching a game on TV.
And we've said it before. Wayne Gretzky's not particularly good at his job as a broadcaster, but why hockey in the NHL wanted Wayne Gretzky, because Wayne Gretzky is quite literally the only hockey name that everyone knows. Tom Brady's not the only. Tom Brady was not hired because of his glowing personality and superstar analytical abilities. He was hired. Most of his job is to go shake hands at sponsor events, but he was hired because of his name. And so, I mean, you're really just punting on the whole idea that the analyst has a real role. God.
Yeah, we discussed this a little bit with Michael Holley on Friday, and Holley's point was this will allow Brady, if he chooses to be more edgy. He doesn't have to worry about pissing people off. He's never going to meet with these people. He's quite literally just showing up to do a job at the last minute.
Okay.
It will give him the freedom to do this. I'm not saying he will.
All right. Well, I can counter that, John,
freedom.
and I can say, well, when he's doing a Chiefs game, which he'll do, when he's doing a Chiefs game, that's an AFC West team, and now why is he being so overly critical of them? Because he has a rooting interest in the Raiders. He doesn't have to do a Raiders game to have a rooting interest in the Raiders. This is all a really bad idea. They gave him too much money. He's not going to be. He might be fine at it, but I challenge that you even need anyone as a color analyst anyway. Here's the deal: you need a play-by-play guy for big events that makes it sound like a big event, like an Al Michaels or a Joe Buck at this point. I understand that. This is the big event. Al Michaels is going to do it. It sounds big, okay? But football's football. The best game is going to have the best ratings. If I was the broadcast company, and this is the only thing that makes sense, would pour all my money in the pre- and post-game shows because the only entertainment there is the hosts. There's no main event. It's you analyzing stuff and you talking and you BSing, and that's what people are looking at. So wouldn't that, in theory, be the more valuable broadcaster? Someone who can carry that? Because if you're a color commentator and you just kept your mouth shut, say you just sat there and you barely talked. You were like Major League. You barely talked. How many complaints are you going to get there? Oh, he didn't talk enough. Have you ever heard that complaint? Maybe's happened, but it doesn't. There's over talking. There's being Tony Romo and going, being all like dumb. There was Dan Fouts who didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yep.
But the worst case scenario, say you started having it's the only one job in broadcasting where you could have a panic attack and no one would know about it. Like you could have a mental breakdown and just sit. They could turn your mic off and no one would know. But this is who they give all the money to.
So two things now. Yesterday, in what seems like damage control, Fox Sports published a story saying that the newest NFL on Fox League broadcast analyst is going to bring something new to the table. Tom Brady kept notes from every NFL game he played and will use them in broadcasts. Meticulously organized in binders every game he played during his 23-year career. Brady has shown the thumbing through them and said, I kept track of all this information. It's organized really well. And he said, I want to refer back to players or schemes or defensive coordinators. It's all here if the guy is still in the league. And I'll do the same thing as a broadcaster. I'm going to store information going into the season.
Yeah, I'm not at all concerned about his ability to look at what's going on in the field and tell you. I mean, he's played forever and he was great at it. My thing is that if it's necessary to talk to the players and coaches and you're getting information, and it's not schematic necessarily, it's learning about their personalities, watching them interact with the team, seeing the vibe of the team, maybe getting an interesting anecdote, something like that. And they'd all love Brady and they'd sit down and they'd be respectful of him and they'd want to talk to him.
Right, and you're going to want to engage him, but Ryan Clark from ESPN brings up a good point, too, with this other restriction from the NFL. You can't be critical of officials or other teams. It's like, part of their their umbrella statement about how you're supposed to act as an owner or a partial owner. Ryan Clark says, how do I know if what Tom Brady says, when he does interject and he's going to say anything, Fred, let's say he's going to err on the side of speaking less. He said, how do I know if what Tom Brady is saying about the officials is real when there is a limitation and a restriction on what he can say about the officials? How do I know what he's saying about the league is real when there's a limitation based on his pending ownership? And he goes on to say, oh, yeah, and he's replacing Greg Olson, who by many accounts is the best at it right now. And you've got
Olson and Aikman, yeah.
Yeah, you've got that bar to live up to right now as it is. And now you're going to limit yourself, or you're going to bring into question, is what you're saying even the truth? Because you've got all these limits on what you can say because of your impending ownership.
So own a team or do the TV.
Yes.
He's putting himself, this is not going to work out. It's not going to work out.
We didn't think it was going to work out before all this happened.
No.
Which would you do?
If I was him, I'd own the team.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah,
you own the team.
So owning the team requires you to go out of pocket. I don't know what the discount is that he's being offered on the 7% stake. If it's worth $6 billion, 7% of that is $420 million. Let's say he's giving him a big discount. Tom Brady's got to come up with $300 million in something.
Okay, in 20 years, what's that $300 million worth?
But you're out of pocket $300 million
I know,
right now.
But you're buying into a lifestyle and all this stuff. It's passive income. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would much rather do that because it doesn't keep him out of media in general. It just keeps him out of doing color commentary. I mean, he could go and do 1 million advertisements, and he could go and, do. I'm sure he could do inside the NFL and stuff. You don't have to be critical of the officials on inside the NFL. There's ways you could do stuff. He doesn't have to be a color commentator.
He doesn't have to be, but I don't know what other job he gets. That's going to guarantee him $375 million over the next 10 years. And number two, it's the same profile. Getting 30 seconds on a halftime show, or getting to talk every 3 or 4 minutes for 10 seconds at a time on a pregame show. Well, it's not the same visibility. It's not the same profile as being the lead analyst on Fox.
But I'm not positive how much that matters to me if I'm a legendary player. All right,
it matters. I think it does matter to him, though.
Well, then that's a character defect. We will come. I'm not kidding. Then we will come back. Paul Finebaum is back at it. College football is back. Mike Lockhart has combed through the archives, and we will have Finebaum for you.
Sports Hub headlines. Hunter and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
Paul Finebaum is our good friend. I've been on the Paul Finebaum show. And if you don't know, he is a man who he's on a million stations, but they're all in the South. You might remember clips like these.
I love her. All right, but she's lesbian, you know.
All right, who's control of
Your
that?
daughter is a lesbian.
They're both on the same thing here.
And I grabbed it and I pulled.
Yes, that is the woman who had sex with Bear Bryant. It turned out that she was indeed having sex with Bear Bryant. And these college fans, they will come in.
You're a dummy.
Yes, and they will. They're very upset. So Paul Finebaum, he's broadcasting to the abyss. He's broadcasting to these terrible towns all over the South, and he's. I'm giving you a heads up. He's brilliant at just letting the callers talk. He does not interfere. While most people would panic and jam words in or hang up the phone and get to the next caller, and this is not a diss to Felger because I just said Finebaum's a genius today. He's the anti-Felger. Like, Felger, move. Finebaum's, listen. Let them dig their own graves.
I still love her. All right, but she's lesbian, you know.
Yeah, that was her daughter.
Your daughter is a lesbian?
Yeah.
And she had to watch porno to figure out how they did it.
Sure.
Here's my hemorrhoid.
Yeah, she was pulling her hemorrhoid. And Paul Finebaum just let her talk.
Yeah.
All right, so college football season has begun, and here is our friend, Mr. Paul Finebaum.
How about Bob in Fort Worth? Hello, Bob.
Afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon.
Well, same old song and dance, just different director. They talk about, everybody's hollering about how good the defense was for Notre Dame. Well, how do you know how good the defense was? Wegman never got a ball close enough to a receiver to find out how good the defense was for Notre Dame.
You are correct.
What happened to this offensive genius that they brought out of the Sun State? And when I say Sun State, I'm talking about Kansas. Sunshine, sunflowers, and sons of you-know-whats. It is beyond how in the hell.
Yeah, now the problem is
Talking is the problem.
he did not come in with enough material, and Paul is letting him falter,
right,
and float around, and this guy is just. Did he say the Sun State of Kansas?
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah. Right, of course. He goes, in sons of you know what, bitches. Yeah, but the Sun State of Kansas. When one thinks of fun in the sun, who doesn't think of the vast arrays of sand and beach in Kansas? But listen to Paul. Just let him go. Paul disgusted with the man. He's very upset. Who did Notre Dame beat? Texas A&M.
Yes.
This is a Texas A&M fan. You could tell he went to college there too. A lot of these Finebaum fans, I don't know why they're not enjoying their degrees more.
You're a dummy.
I mean, a lot of these people, you're Russian lit major, just find peace in your Russian literature.
And when I say Sun State, I'm talking about Kansas. Sunshine, sunflowers, and sons of you-know-whats. It is beyond how in the hell did A&M lose a ball game to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame doesn't have the talent.
That's a great point. How in the hell did they lose a game to Texas A&M? Please, Paul, talk. Someone hang up the phone. Hey, Cindy. Yeah, this is Ted. You want to go out? Like on a date, one of them things where I take you out.
Hello.
Afternoon, Paul.
Oh boy, you're giving me too much to work with here.
It's beyond me, Paul. I do not understand, and that's all. And that's all.
Why? Please, for the love of God, Paul. So his call was to say, I can't believe Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And Paul Finebaum's like, okay, that happened. You go. Well, that's all I got to say about it.
Listen, Mr. Ewell, there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, but your triglycerides are the real issue here.
I do not understand.
Okay, let me put it to you this way.
Sir, the statutory laws you've passed them way by a whole lot.
I do not understand.
It's a number, sir, that you have to abide by. Sir, you're not allowed to light fireworks off in the elementary school parking lot.
I do not understand.
Of course not.
Mr. Cratchit, noodling is not allowed in the Bass Pro Shop here.
I do not understand.
Well, you're going to have to.
At some point, you're going to have to figure that out. All right, Andrew Callahan's coming in, plus we'll have more Finebaum coming up, Paul Finebaum. Maybe we'll do it with Andrew Callahan in here, as college football is up for grabs.
Hell yeah, it is.
And all Paul Finebaum has to do is sit there and let the Hicks talk.
Printing money, Paul Finebaum.
But he's great. I mean,
No, he's figured it out. There are very few people that do. He figured it out. He's got a formula that works. It's bulletproof.
Yeah, like I'm not being dismissive of him at all. Like his not talking is like
Brilliant.
like a great guitar player or a great drummer not doing too much.
Yeah.
He's like Charlie Watts. Like, everyone goes like Charlie Watts might not seem like much, but he was perfect.
He's in the pocket.
He was in the pocket. He didn't have to do. He knew when to stop.
Russ Kunkel.
Can you imagine you sit on the phone with I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
You sit on the phone. You probably sit on the phone legit for 2.5 hours, and then you get on, and all you want to say is you can't believe Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame. I can't believe it, Paul. Like Paul's gonna go, you're right, and he's just like,
I do not understand.
Yeah, that's right. Sir, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in a court of law.
And that's all. I do not understand.
Very good. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment.
Bostonian!
This is Boston's home for sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5, the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, making every moment more with FanDuel. 617-779-0985. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube, and you can see Andrew Callahan, who is in a lot bigger than you would think.
It was so used to Reese and Giardi and all the short guys.
Yeah. Like, can you bully them, Andrew? Like, do they get out of your way?
Giardi, yes.
And Volan's like a little kid too.
Reese, no. I can't. I don't think anyone should or has.
Not in a mean way, but here, let me, because there is a point. Sosi, Volan, Reese, and Giardi are very, very small people. And you are not. You are a big man. If there is a scrum, you kind of give him a little. And even that Hart kid he's like a muscular kid, but a little guy, right? Hart's a little guy, right? Like he's not very tall.
He's shorter. He's built though.
No. I know he's really muscular.
And I'll tell you, I don't know if this is a breakup thing, but since Mike Giardi left this chair, the guy looks good, and I know he's listening. Which pains me to give him those kind words as a close friend where we don't say anything nice to each other.
Well,
but the guy
probably,
looks good.
I don't know if you know what he's doing for a career, but I'd imagine it's affecting his appetite. The stress can. A sinking ship does not have its buffet out. All right, very good. You write for the Boston Herald, and I'm not talking about the Sports Journal, by the way. You write for the Herald, and you had a good point. We've been doing a lot on this show, Andrew, about if you're under 35, you've never experienced a rebuild. Like, you just haven't. Like, if you're a Patriots fan, it's never happened in your lifetime. And you hear a lot of complaining about it. In my opinion, when they did the free agent spree a few years ago, they delayed it to now. I guess the opinion was correct because they just treaded water until they got to here. All right. Kind of explain your thinking in writing the piece and then some of your ideas to the people.
Yeah, this was the fans' guide to watching a rebuild.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been honestly strange, Fred, the last few weeks, mostly on Twitter, which is not a normal place, as we know, explaining to folks what a rebuild is. Now, granted, I'm in my mid-30s, so to your earlier point, I don't know what this looks like, but some people are like, no, this is year 3. Others say this is year 5. And I go, a rebuild is not losing a great player or even a head coach. It's an organizational decision. We are not trying to win right now. And that doesn't mean the players are quitting. It doesn't mean the coaches are quitting. It's the front office is saying we are going to set things up in a way that we are likely to lose. But in the meantime, set ourselves up for the future. So you see this all time in the NBA, like every single time. Any team that's in a small market.
Yep.
Right. Brooklyn did this. Orlando did this for kicks, I think, for 12 years straight.
Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Right.
Oklahoma City, right.
And there's a fine line between tanking and rebuilding. Tanking obviously comes with this odor about it. No one wants to do it. It's a loser mentality, yada, yada. They're actively rebuilding. So I said, okay, if you're watching a team, which the Patriots are, that has the longest Super Bowl odds of anyone in the league, and just traded their best player, Matthew Judon, for a third-round pick, and might be starting a rookie quarterback, how do you survive? So at the bottom of the list is, crack a cold one or two. But near the top of the list is find a way to invest in college football. And there's no better time, given obviously what happened to BC last night. The other parts are to say no, an upset is coming. Because the last 4 teams to clinch the number 1 overall pick, and some of them traded it, all beat playoff teams and route to earning that number 1 pick. The season is long. Football is crazy. The big upset is coming, even if it might be just 1 out of 3 wins for the Pats this year.
You know what they say? Any given Sunday, and I can explain that phrase if you need me to. But
I don't get it. Why Sundays?
No, I'll
Are you referring to football?
I'll call you later and I'll explain it to you.
All right. So you talk about the Patriots are as likely as anyone to get the number 1 pick in the draft. And when you say pay attention to college football, people might say, well, we have Drake May. This is what we've invested in. But as in evidenced by when Chicago traded the first pick to Carolina,
opposite.
Chicago traded their first pick to Carolina. And Carolina took that pick and took Bryce Young.
My mistake. You're right. Oops.
Just sit in that, John. Sit in your mistake.
Okay.
Sit in it, trying to correct me. How dare you? But that's the thing is so you're looking for you're still looking for a hot quarterback. And the hotter the quarterback, the more a team's willing to give. And then, and I'll to ask you this, Andrew, it doesn't take, in my opinion, a lot of drafts. You don't have to hit on a lot of drafts to get back into contention.
No. I mean, you need to then hit in free agency and trades, but I'd say those have a higher hit rate than the draft, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And to that point about college football, like this isn't to say like, oh, clear Saturday is out, watch a bunch of teams you already probably don't care about. It's just to say there are receivers expected to go in the top 10, and one of them just had a 300-yard game at Arizona over the weekend. Not to mention you have
who's that?
McMillan at Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask me to pronounce his first name, please.
Yeah, call him T-Mac.
T-Mac, yeah. I think they do call him T-Mac. Yeah, T.
Right.
McMillan. So there are a bunch of these players that either will be on the Patriots soon or you'll be watching on Sundays anyway. Get a head start. These games are crazier. There are more schemes. There are more dramas. There's more storylines. There are more upsets. Again, last night, BC, first time win over a top 10 team since what, 2009?
A long time.
That's every given Saturday.
Yeah.
And I say this as someone who covered college for 2 years. I got very, very lucky. Great years at Penn State. Not that far back. And it was it's something I keep and cherish because now my Saturdays are filled with the same stuff.
That'd be so funny. It was the greatest. It was right when Paterno got fired. And it was a lot of fun. I was, the suds and the showers. It was great. Yeah. So you were there after. You were in the aftermath or before?
A few years after.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, the best burning cars you've ever seen. The best.
You were in State College?
Yeah.
Were you living there?
I was 2 years. Jeez. It was like going to grad school for sports journalism.
Okay.
They made a Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. You had Saquon Barkley on that team, Chris Godwin, Mike Gesicki, a bunch of these dudes.
Yeah.
Just really, really lucked out.
And because State College, if you don't know, couldn't be further away from anything.
Everything.
I mean, it's about equidistance between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. For better. It's just in the middle of nowhere.
You don't get there by accident.
Exactly.
That's a very good point.
But you were a young man still, so you could still go into college girls were not out of the age of appropriateness.
Yeah, I would say there's also one place to go out, and that's downtown. Thankfully, they have 30 bars down there spread out over two thickly packed street. But I had hair back in the day. Like I was not out of place, I'll say.
All right.
You'd also run into coaches because just like for us in the media, there was nowhere else to go out. So I would be coming out of bars at around midnight, be like, "Oh, there's a defensive coordinator. How are you, Brent?" You're like, "Oh, good."
The coach at Penn State at a Dexter Southfield game last year, recruiting an offensive lineman who and now is playing at Penn State. What's his name? Franklin.
James Franklin, yeah.
Yeah, Franklin was at the game. He actually came down during the football season. It was a bye week for Penn State, and he went to Dexter Southfield to look at a kid. Did you know that?
I did not. I'm sure that he travels frequently to stay out of State College, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I would imagine, but I don't think he travels frequently on weekends in the fall. He must have really wanted that kid.
No, they do. You have to be, in the words of one coach told me who was working at college, a little bleeped up to do this job.
Right.
Like when you have downtime, supposedly the night before games, you're not with your family. You're with other children watching them play football on Friday nights in high school to say, please come here. And then I'm going to take a helicopter back to State College, Pennsylvania to actually go to my day job on Saturday.
And by the way, you also have to recruit your own kids now so they don't leave.
Right.
So you have to keep recruiting your own kids.
It went on and on about how Bill O'Brien got in too late to take care of the transfer portal. So his main job was to make sure everyone on his roster stayed.
Yeah.
And he was able to do that.
And that's why a lot of these guys are bagging out. And so they're sitting on a dais with McAfee, who takes his shirt off like Kreischer and hugs him. You see that?
It's so hot.
You see that? McAfee had the balls to take his shirt off during that thing. All right, so you're watching college football and you're looking for that. What's something else that fans can look for this season?
Yeah, I would say just follow the rookies. I mean, we know we're going to get into games where the Pats are down 17-3, 20-0 at halftime, and you go, should I go apple picking or not? And I would say hang out for a quarter. Like just lock in on a guy like Keon White, who we were all very excited down at the Media Hill at Foxborough this year watching training camp. He's tossing offensive linemen left and right. And it's cool to watch the ball. It's how we watch sports. But if you just lock in on that guy, you'll see him make plays away from the ball. You go, oh, that was fun. And so whether it's him, it's Christian Gonzalez, it could be Pop Douglas, it could be Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, if he ever sees the field. There are enough guys that if the Patriots front office and coaching staff who told me at the beginning of the season, hey, success is just how many of these foundational guys we can find this year and label as we go into 2025. If they're watching them, you should do the same.
And you bring up a good point when you say that when it comes to Demario Douglas, he didn't have a touchdown yet.
Right.
So
right.
you can wait for these moments and watch for these moments. Look, I'm not saying I'm going to be watching how guys run routes when they're not getting the ball. I'm not going to,
they'll run off the screen.
Yeah, I'm not going to be invested to that point, but you can wait for these things to happen. And we were talking about it last week, but whenever Fred and I were both still here, maybe it's been a couple of weeks, Fred. I don't know.
Oh, no, we don't compare it to past years. This has been a very consistent year in terms of us being here. I have not taken a sick day. which is unprecedented.
No, our vacation time.
Vacation week.
But we've been on this for a while. Like for the fans who grew up around here, for the 30-year-olds and stuff, they haven't had to deal with this before. You have no idea what it's like to watch a bad team and to be able to still root for and be invested in a bad team. And you have to do these things, like you're saying. Cherish these little moments, whether it's watching and waiting for Pop Douglas to get his first touchdown or waiting for Drake May when he finally comes into a game, and really celebrate singular victories. And I don't even necessarily mean winning a game. I mean just victories within the game, regardless of what the scoreboard is.
Here's a guy that can help us for the next 3 years.
It's
watch Keon White, for example. There's our pass rusher 4 years from now.
It's not for the faint of heart, and you're gonna quickly identify who bandwagon fans are. I've been a Patriots fan my whole life. Yeah, we'll see what kind of fan you are. Starting the last couple of years and this year too.
Yeah,
we'll
and we
see.
do this with basketball, right? Like watching Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum grow up. Granted, they were top 3 picks. Like everyone knew they were going to be good. Struggle and lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, lose in the finals, lose again in the East Finals, made that last title in June, which by other metrics was one of the more boring runs we've seen to the title in the NBA in a decade. All the sweeter for us, right? You were there early on. You were invested early. You watched the stock grow. Do the same thing. It will feel like having the world's crappiest fantasy team when they're just all Patriots and they're all Patriots under 25, but the payoff is coming. It might just be in a couple years when they make the playoffs, never a Super Bowl or a championship, but you get in on the ground floor, it's going to feel different when they finally start to get better in the years to come.
Okay, and we're going to break, but at one point, believe it or not, we'll talk about the Drake May situation. I mean, Callahan, I hope you're prepared, because I'm sure you have not written or talked about that at all. Also, the defense. If the defense going into this season with no Judon, with the injuries, how good is this defense? What to look for on defense? Andrew Callahan from the Boston Herald's here. We will be back in just a moment. with Toucher and Hardy. We'll get into the whole Javon Baker thing. He bitched about the police at Logan, but I don't want to waste Andrew Callahan on that because everyone knows where Andrew stays. He wants to defund the police, is what he wants. I mean,
Stop.
He's been very, very vocal about that.
Well, I was right there.
He writes for the Herald, which is huge on that whole thing. They want that police.
Now, is it part of the Herald's like guidelines to use cops instead of police and Jakes when referring to firefighters?
No, I've never even heard of Jake's as a phrase.
Neither have I.
When I first moved here, it was I was reading the Herald for the first time in my life 20 plus years ago, and they kept talking about Jake's. I'm like, what the hell is a Jake? And that is Herald speak for a firefighter. You know this, DOB? Yeah.
Herald speak.
Yeah, because Rucker was in Howie Carr. Like I really respect like what he did with the whole Whitey Bulger thing, and Rucker was like, here, take this book. It's what Howie Carr wrote about, like one of the 85 things he wrote about Whitey Bulger. And I'm like, is this English? I'm like, I don't understand any of this. This is like, it's like you're putting in Latin into different places. But it's stuff like Jake's. It was written like, all right. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, Andrew, we will get you off the subject of the Boston Herald, where you work. And you cover the Patriots so well. Okay, so we were talking about this earlier. The decision to not start Drake May. Let's start with this. Do you feel like that was always the plan, and then May performed well enough where they started second guessing it, or do you think it was always the plan and they just were always going to do it?
Yeah, I think they were open to Drake May being C.J. Stroud this summer. And not just like C.J. Stroud last summer, but mid-season C.J. Stroud, who just got dropped in the middle of their camp. And they said, okay, it's go time. And now we'll add and we'll keep trying to trade for Brandon Ayuk, maybe get an offensive tackle. Once that didn't happen, and through the first 3 weeks, it's important to remember, Jacoby Brissett clearly was QB1, just the better quarterback. That changed over the last 2 weeks. Mayo said a lot of stuff since then, but that's what happened. I would say they put the plan, I don't know if they make these anymore, and that pen that you could erase, but if you're looking at it, you think it's just in pen.
Right.
And so once it was close enough, the tie was always going to go to Brissett because time's on May's side. He's going to play this year. There's no question about that. It's just now a matter of when. When before it was like, we'll give him a little bit of a shot to start week one.
Okay, so my question is this. If he's your backup and Brissett gets hurt early in the season, it happens. I mean, he gets hurt game 1, game 2. You're now Drake May's your quarterback. And everything about your idea of letting him learn and sit behind Brissett is over, and you're rushing him into a situation that you didn't want him in. Is that a correct statement?
They are, according to Gerard Mayo, said this yesterday, 1,000% okay with Drake May playing in the event that Jacoby Brissett gets hurt this Sunday, next Sunday, week 3, whatever, because he's QB2. He said he doesn't really have a choice. Now, I would argue if this happens on the first drive, when Jacoby Brissett takes, let's say, 3 sacks and the third one knocks him out, like we saw in Washington, though that was obviously, they might have wanted to pull him anyway, you might have second thoughts about that because you just can't do it this early. What's the upside of playing Drake May, maybe beating Seattle?
Well, I mean, again, I'm a Jets fan. Andrew, Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays in, tears his Achilles, and the whole plan for Zach Wilson went out the window. Now Zach Wilson's the third-string quarterback in Denver and wasn't playing at the end of the year. That would concern me as a Patriots fan, because say Brissett gets hurt early in the season and May has to play in a game. If you get a veteran quarterback at that point, because you're holding 2 rookies now, if you get a veteran quarterback at that point, how long is it going to take for him to get adjusted into play?
It's a good question. I mean, I'll say this. When you zoom out and you look across the entire league in first-round quarterbacks over the last 8 years, on average, they play between 11 and 12 games per season. Even the guys who said, hey, we'll sit you for a little bit, then you'll come on. So I think they're planning and going, okay, Drake more likely than not, even though we weren't going to start him week 1, will play probably about half the season, if not a little bit more. If we move that up, the risk of him playing a couple extra starts than we anticipated, not 12, but let's say 14, isn't so great that we should get someone off the street who's going to have to learn the offense, take snaps away from him, create this confusion. Because the kid, at least what we saw in training camp, the number one thing you notice between him and Brissett, he's much better at avoiding sacks. So it's not just the physical danger, right, that he would be in. It's the mental habits that he needs to reinforce and develop of making reads and then knowing when to bail. You don't want him running around like a chicken with his head cut off at the first sign of pressure, a la Mac Jones. We experienced that with Mac Jones. You never want to see that again. But I think they go, if we're banking on him starting at Halloween and Jacoby Brissett gets hurt first week of October, 3 games is not enough to really sign someone and upend this plan.
Okay, what if he comes in and sorry to interrupt, Jerry. Yeah. What if he comes in and I don't look? You can't judge a rookie quarterback how he plays his rookie year. Like you can't. I mean, everyone knows the list of great quarterbacks that sucked: Manning and Aikman and da da da. But if he comes in and the offensive line blows, and if he comes in and plays poorly right away, can they pull him as the starter? Like, right? Like if he's the starter for the Patriots, can they make him not the starter and still have that success into the future?
So are you concerned when you ask this question more about the impact in the locker room?
No.
Or say May's confidence?
I don't care at all about the locker room.
So this is like you
development of May. Yeah. Like if you start him and you see for his own development, oh my God, he's getting killed. He's regressing to these bad habits because he's, he can't think. He has no time to throw. We got to pull him out and we got to put like a sacrificial lamb in. Like, can that happen? Would they do that?
Yeah, I think you could. I think it would take an extreme example of he takes something like 8 sacks and you go, hey, we all watched David Carr in 2002 get pummeled into the turf where his bones are going to be when they excavate Houston in 1,000 years.
Right.
But I would just say with Drake May, he's a tough-ass kid. Like, he just turned 22, so we can't say the thing we've all been saying on the Patriots beat. Oh, he's only 21. Give him time. No, he's a big 22-year-old boy right now. But the way he was brought up, the way he played virtually every single sport in high school, the way he performed as a redshirt freshman at UNC for a top 10 team in college football, and last year, this might be the most important part, played behind a dog bleep offensive line with no receivers at North Carolina and played to the bitter end against North Carolina State. It was up like 30 at halftime of a rivalry game at the end of the season, and is coming in and saying, I want to make these adjustments, we're going to do this, and they still lose. But he's had the Mac Jones experience before he gets here. Mac Jones did not do that. He was the prep school kid who went to Alabama and then waited to start his senior year with his all-time Alabama team that might be their greatest ever, then gets hit with adversity and doesn't know what to do. It's not the same for Drake May, what Mac Jones endured last year. I think his makeup is much better to handle that type of adversity that you're talking about.
This whole season, and maybe going into next season too, is going to be this long exercise in patience, whether you're waiting for Drake May to come in. And this is something that Zoe said a lot over the last couple of years when we were kind of doing the quarterback carousel, whether it was going to be Cam Newton, whether it was going to be Mac Jones, going to Bailey Zappi. He said, whenever somebody gets in there, he said, you can't judge it by the first game or the first 2, 3 weeks before you know what you've got. You need to get into that routine of knowing you're the guy, number one, well ahead of time, getting the game plan, getting the install, going out, executing, boom. You do it once, you see how it goes. You do it a second time, you do it a third time, and then you can make an assessment. And look, we're going to be doing the exact opposite every Monday because that's what we do. We do a show every day after a game. We're going to have all kinds of reaction. But if you can step back every once in a while during this season, I think going into next season too, and say, this is all part of a process. You got to remember, this is a true rebuild. Everything about it, from the coach to the front office to the quarterback to the personnel and every single coach, it's going to be a process. And whether it's Brissett starting on Sunday and going for a few weeks, we know what he is. We've seen enough of Brissett to know what he is, but still, to know what he is in this team, you got to give it a few weeks. And when Drake May presumably gets his chance, you're going to have to give that a few weeks. And you're going to have to give them enough time in that system of getting the game plan, knowing they're going to start, getting the start, and then seeing how they adapt to whatever mistakes that they made. Unless they come out and have a lot more of those surprise wins that you talked about, Andrew, it's going to be a long season, man. It could be a couple of long seasons. And I'm constantly going to have to remind myself this is a process. It's a long one.
Well, you know the process. You're a Lions fan, and the process never materialized there. As a Jets fan, I mean, the process, they blew the quarterback pick, but, I mean, they're at least in the conversation for the Super Bowl because of how well they drafted. And, you know, that again, that doesn't take a super long time. You hit on a couple drafts and you can do it. People get mad at me when I do this, but they kept Joe Milton as their third-string quarterback. Would they have been better off not necessarily Zappy, but bringing in a veteran because of the scenarios that we just laid out for Drake May?
I have a question for you, and then I want to go back to Hardy's comment for a second. Have you ever met Joe Milton?
No.
Fred?
No.
I feel like he cut you in line at the airport at something. Like, I know he's not very good, but it comes up every time I'm on the show. And I see the logic in bringing in a veteran. I think it's wise. I don't think Joe Milton's ready. But
he's bad, Andrew. And they kept him because they were afraid someone else was going to take someone bad.
Are you saying Fred obsesses over Joe Milton?
A tad, I think.
Well, you're absolutely correct. I do. I think it's the definition. I mean, there was Hooker, then him, now this kid.
What he says, though, Andrew, is correct.
It's more about May than it is about Milton. And I am obsessed with Milton. I apologize. He's just so bad.
If you were listening to the show, he was on Milton before the draft.
Well, no, I was on Milton.
Well, so was Barth, but that was at least positive obsession. Like, he'll get some slack before he calls the cops and Barth is outside in the bushes. You're like straight to jail.
And by the way, my parents live in East Tennessee, right by Knoxville, and Milton's a swear word there. Like, I mean, he's bad. Yeah. I mean, he's bad. And so, but I like, maybe I'm subconsciously bringing Milton into a conversation, but I really do mean this in terms of May. Is the same thing. Do you think that they would have been better off having another veteran? If you're keeping three quarterbacks, Brissett, May, and another veteran.
Yes. Yeah, I think, especially if you could get them on the practice squad, which is a huge if, right? Because if you're a quarterback coming into New England, I think I said this last time I was on, there were veterans last year as the Patriots are slogging to 4-13 who were offered a spot in the practice squad. They go, no, you suck. I would like to be on the 53.
Interesting.
Patriots said no, and so they never signed.
I didn't know that. So they did attempt to get veteran quarterbacks.
So no. I'm stepping back. Veteran players last year.
Veteran players.
So if you're a quarterback and the Patriots call and say, hey, we'd love to have you. You're like, great. You stink. I might play. They go, no. It's a practice squad spot. You might pause and go, I saw Joe Milton. So did Fred. I know he stinks. Why shouldn't that be my spot as the number 3 guy? And that, I think, might be the hesitation. It's not just the Patriots should have signed a quarterback. If they wanted to, they could have. These guys might have told them no. And then even then, your options are Will Greer, who was here and couldn't start and break through the Mac
was
Jones,
here for a while.
Bailey Zappi wall of stardom, right, last year. So I want to go back because I think we have a couple minutes left, though, to something Hardy brought up as far as it is a season of patience and process. I used to run long distance for some reason for fun. And one of the techniques you use in a long run is to say, I want to put markers ahead. Like, just get here. I don't need to do the 20 miles. It's going to take 3-4 hours. So when we're talking about benchmarks for this season, we're all waiting. We're going to be asking, when's May going to start, right? Okay, that'll be the first benchmark, the first checkpoint. The next one is going to be, when is May going to get that win? And so that's how you chunk the season out. The second part of this is, we all talk about the schedule. It's brutal. The Bengals, the Seahawks, the Jets, the 49ers. It's not just the talent on those defenses and how good those teams are. The benefit of letting May wait and then get those 3 starts that you talked about is when you get around to October, they get the Jets at home for a second time. That's a defense that he's more familiar with now. Miami's going to be week 5. Then they see him the weekend before Thanksgiving. So there's a familiarity not just with the process of going through regular season install and practice and meetings and yada, yada, but the variety and talent of those defenses, 4 very different systems, weeks 1 through 4, I think is overload. And what Alex Van Pelt's been talking about, Jacoby Brissett's just more ready to handle 4 different defenses, 3 of which could be top 10, than Drake May, who doesn't know any of this. But if we get to late October and the Jets come in right before Halloween, he'll at least know, oh, this is a quarter structure, 4 down line, talented linebackers, but we know the zone beaters we're going to use to try to beat them.
Okay. You ran long distances?
Very briefly. Yeah, I've done one marathon.
You ever go to the bathroom on yourself?
No.
Oh, because that's a real danger.
I know. I've seen it happen. It's bad.
All right. Let's do the Javon Baker thing. Let's play his IG rant.
All right.
Javon Baker, rookie, who Andrew says might have probably not even played in week 1 anyway. was at Logan Airport and got all pissed off. And I can tell you from experience, don't go live. Don't go live on social media. I can tell you from experience.
Even by accident, which
familiar
it's
with
an
Ambien,
accident,
Fred?
but sometimes you do it accidentally.
Or sometimes you're drunk and take Ambien and you're in your underwear and you
Andrew,
start battling.
are you familiar with Ambien, Fred?
No, I think I'm about to Google something in the break, though.
Oh, you won't have any trouble finding it. I was a centimeter away from it, completely exposing myself on accident, and things would have been a lot different. I'm very lucky I'm so small down there, because if I was bigger, it would have been an issue. But yeah, I got drunk and was on Ambien, and I started babbling into the camera, and then it was an issue. Not for management, but just personally. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots open up their season in Cincinnati on Sunday. Starting left tackle Verdarian Lowe and starting left guard Sidy Sow not on the field at practice yesterday. Also, the 6 captains on the team have been named. They're Jacoby Brissett, David Andrews, Jabril Peppers, Jawan Bentley, Joe Cardona, and Dietrich Wise. Red Sox lost for the 8th time in 11 games last night, 4-1 to the Mets at Citi Field.
are Toucher and Hardy. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with Andrew with FanDuel. Andrew Callahan is here.
I'll make every moment more, baby.
You know what you do? Just sit in that chair. You bring the heat. Andrew's gonna be in once a week during the football season, which is very exciting. All right, Hardy. Javon Baker. He's a rookie for the 4th-round pick, wide receiver from the University of Central Florida, very close to Rollins, almost a sister school to Rollins. More girls. If you went out by the airport, you could try to finesse UCF girls. So he was what happened? You tell me, Hardy. You tell me what went on.
Since Andrew Callahan is here, I will give credit to the Herald, who had a write-up on this. I believe it came under crime and public safety.
And Jake's, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've learned Jake's means fireman.
Firefighter, that's right.
Yeah.
I got a tweet here earlier from the Saugus Fire Department saying, yeah, it's a term of endearment.
Good.
But when the Herald wrote it up, they said, look, since 9/11, lingering at Logan has been difficult, and the cell phone lot is probably your best alternative if you need to wait.
And why are you picking anyone up at the airport, first of all?
You know what? You know what I did on Wednesday, the day you were going to the airport, Fred?
Yeah.
Marcy was coming home from wherever she was, Omaha, and she had planned on, after I took her to the airport Sunday morning, because that's easy, Sunday morning, no traffic, she said, I'll just take an Uber, because she got in at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to the airport to pick you up. You know what I did? I surprised her. I picked her up at the airport.
And she was probably like, why?
She was thrilled. Absolutely thrilled.
Well, that's why you're still married.
Maybe.
I mean, that was the cause of my divorce. I mean, she got a lot more money because she was like, he won't pick me up from the airport.
Yeah. Anyway, you're dropping somebody off. Get in, get out. Javon Baker, he's new in town. He doesn't know this, apparently.
As opposed to the Orlando airport where they just let you you can pitch a tent. I mean, I'm even over asking the Uber driver to drop me off at the departures. I mean, you got to go to the effing parking lot now and take the elevator down and then go over the thing where Maura Healy's talking. So I've given up on that even. I used to go, come on. But no, I've given up on it.
So this past Sunday, Javon Baker went on Instagram Live to talk about what happened to him at Logan Airport.
No reason. The man ain't even, like, I don't even have no police lights. He gonna walk up on me and give me a ticket. Like, well, what? I'm dropping somebody off at the airport. He gonna walk up on me and say, I got a ticket.
So, in case you can't tell, he is driving presumably away from the airport and goes on Instagram Live to start ranting about getting a ticket at Logan Airport.
He does. And look, traffic tickets are frustrating. Logan is apparently the site of a lot of broken hearts and marriages. But the thing is, you can't film yourself, talk about this person in law enforcement accused me of robbing a bank, it's not true, and then walk out of a supermarket with a loaf of bread under your arm. That's what he's doing. Like, I made some sort of error violation with my car.
Well,
Here I am broadcasting live as I'm driving, looking up and then back down, and then adjusting the camera. So now I'm staring at my crotch where the camera is, which is also to tell the viewer, you're in my crotch, and then continue to complain about it's not my fault.
I'm still willing to hear him out, though, because something must have happened here. I know that the Stadies, working at Logan, they're relentlessly patient and will afford you every opportunity to sit and wait, maybe block some cars, do whatever it is that you're doing while you're picking up or dropping off. So let's hear Javon out on this.
Talking about license plate ticket. What? He police officer in Massachusetts, bro.
What? A license plate ticket?
Bro.
Talking about license plate ticket. What?
A license plate ticket. Okay.
He police officer in Massachusetts, bro.
Something about Massachusetts. Okay.
It's a hanging police officer. They see a track car, they just want to stop him.
They see a track car, they want to stop him?
Listen.
Is that what he's saying? He's driving a track car?
You can't follow him. He's got that UCF degree. I mean, this is good news if you're holding one of those.
It's a hanging police officer. They see a track car, they just want to stop him. Talking about, so you can't run. What the you talking about, bro? If I wanted to run, I would have ran already. I know you can't catch me.
You're going to speed through the
Do you need more, Hardy? Do you want to hear him out still?
I'm still willing to hear his side of the story. Yes, I am.
He want to argue with me. I'm going to tow your vehicle. Man, I don't give a f. Get this out. I'm going to get this the same hour you want to tow it, bro.
That's
okay. Been there.
You're gonna
not true.
You're gonna tow my car. I'll just pick it right up.
I'll pick it right up, especially on a Sunday morning where everybody's working.
Yeah.
And it's going to be no problem whatsoever going to the impound yard.
It doesn't sound as cool when they tow your car and you say, I'm going to pick it up right away, as when they arrest you and you go, I'll be out in 5 minutes.
Right.
That's a little bit cooler than I'll just go get my car at the lot. Well, yeah, that's a huge pain in the ass. So what, you're going to do it in an hour? Great. So now you got to take a cab and go to pick up your car. All right, he's a kid, but
like you towing ain't going to do nothing to me. I got other to worry about. He want to give me a ticket. They gonna start yelling at me and think I'm not finna yell back. Like, who you think you is? Because you got a police officer that don't.
The good news is, if he did get in trouble for this, he could sit down and go, "Tell me exactly what I said," and then they would, and then Mayo would have to be like, "That's a good point." He'd be like, "Tell me what I said that was wrong," or just tell me what I said in general. This is very hard to follow. He got a ticket, and there's Massachusetts brakes, and he could plates, and he could go fast.
Right.
That don't mean nothing, bro. Well, my tax dollars, I pay you.
See, that argument always works too, especially if you're having the conversation with the police officer in that moment. I'm your boss. My tax dollars pay your salary.
Yeah, they're paying me to get you out of here. That's what your tax dollars are paying for me to remove you. That's exactly what I'm doing.
We've probably all had some interaction with a cop at Logan that you don't feel great about. I got the tap on my windshield once from the butt end of a mag light when he was tapping my inspection sticker had been expired. I thought he was going to crack the windshield. I'm like, what do you care? In this moment, if my inspection is out of it, and I was pissed off for a second, you know what I did? I drove out of there. I looped around again. I did another lap. This may have been pre-cell phone lot even. I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep moving here. Not going to say a word. You don't feel great about it, but you don't go on Instagram Live and start complaining about it because I think we all have some degree of like or empathy, but what are you doing? What do you think you're going to accomplish with this?
I'll tell you this, is that I picked someone up from the airport recently, 2 weeks ago, and I had to cross. I went into the baggage. I was picking them up by baggage claim, so I was going in through arrivals.
That's a real pickup.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Well,
Look at you.
Well, I mean.
Did you drive there?
I didn't, because you know why I didn't. And so I was in the cop wouldn't even let me cross on foot. He was so concerned with moving cars that I might have stood there literally for 2.5 minutes just waiting for him to cross.
That's keeping you safe to protect and serve.
What I'm saying is, big deal. They gave you a ticket driving. They don't even let you walk. I mean, no, I didn't say anything. I didn't care. Just fine. I got to sit there. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. So anyway, Andrew, can
we go to Baker for a second?
Yeah.
I think it is important to note that we're here for, white guys from the area. Fred, you're from Detroit and Pittsburgh, and before that, New York, and, wherever else.
You were listening to my father.
Yeah, your dad. We get the deal at Logan. It's hectic. You got to go fast. They're going to punish you if you don't, for whatever reason. He doesn't, right? Just came up from UCF, before that Alabama, from Georgia. But if you had not met or heard about Javon Baker, who was sensational for the first week or two of camp and then fizzled out, he also had another Instagram Live immediately after getting drafted saying, "Where the mother effing liquor at?" And that was a bad look, obviously. In addition to then telling us, I make people out of wheelchairs stand up. This is what we know him so far.
Is that what he just said in that thing?
No.
When
This
he
is
got
draft
drafted.
day. When he got
Because you
drafted.
could have told me he was reading the Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe you. Go ahead.
And he said, this is partly the reason why some teams, and perhaps wrongfully, we'll see where he grows up from 21, 22, whatever he is right now, took him off of their draft boards entirely. That I know for a fact. So you're dealing with an immature kid, something Gerard Mayo acknowledged yesterday. I think he would have been a healthy scratch anyway this Sunday. They've disciplined him, not to the point of missing a game, But to me, this is an issue. Like, I don't know. I know you get 3 strikes. I don't know how many Instagram lives that you get where people have to bring it up in a press conference because we've done that. But this is a bad look for a kid who is a 4th-round pick. Great, you get 1 free pass. If you don't make it next year, that draft status is not going to save you again.
Right. All right. You want to know about Jake, the term Jake? Because I thought I had heard it. Or Jack. Jack.
It's Jake. I looked something up, too. I actually found 2 things about this.
So you know 99 Problems, the song by Jay-Z.
Yes.
So you're 94, my trunk is raw, in my rearview mirror is the, law. I got 2 choices. Y'all pull over the car, bounce on the devil, put the pedal to the floor, and I ain't trying to see no highway chase with Jake. So I went to Rap Genius and looked at it, and it says Jack is Jack because he says Jake. They believe that he means Jack. Jack is one of the million words for the boys in blue, but it's particularly dismissive and used mostly in New York, so it works as a way of establishing the character of the narrator. He's a slick New York kid.
Okay. I don't think that has anything to do with the Boston Herald calling firefighters Jakes.
I'm just saying that it's used in a very famous song, and that's the reason for it. And it is law enforcement. They're government
Tweet
employees.
back at Saugus. They seem to know more than we do.
Okay, so in terms of firefighting, I found that it has something to do with the J key, old school, opening up like the call box using Morse code. Jake, J key, Jake. It has something to do with their prowess at completing that task, but also in Detroit, where firefighters were revered earlier this century, Fred. There was that Charlie LaDuff who read an entire book about the firefighters in Detroit, how they were, going out 5 times a night for all the abandoned buildings that were getting burned down.
They literally had to put water on an entire city.
Yes.
So, yeah, Cass Quarter, big area.
In Detroit, the term Jake is not a term of endearment and not a compliment.
Well, that's what I'm saying is here. That's the same thing. You scrutinized my talking about the Jay-Z use of it, but I believe it applies. It's used in the same way here as it was.
So it's a derogatory comment for a firefighter in certain
policeman,
places.
firefighter, da-da-da-da.
Yes, but on the East Coast, especially in Boston, it's a good thing.
Andrew Callahan, get used to this because this is we do this a lot.
Well, real quick, so they disciplined him. Gerard Mayo did not tell me. I asked the question yesterday at the press conference. Yeah. Take a walk, Jake. If you were to discipline Javon Baker and say, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z to make up for this, what would it be? My answer would be you need to Instagram Live a PSA with the security offers at Logan to make up for this and have it up by a week. You're going to be at home on Sunday anyway. I want Javon Baker saying you need to be across the street very quickly, Fred in the middle getting ushered back to the sidewalk. I want the no gun sign right there, the Jack Jones Memorial signs at Logan, and just every rule, there's Javon Baker with the law enforcement and how not to get a ticket.
I'm not even sure why the Patriots had to comment on that, what he said, to be honest with you.
It's their relationship with law enforcement, which has been at issue several times over the years. And Robert Kraft has a big thing for cops and wanting to be in good with law enforcement, but some of the things that either the team has done or that players on the team have done have not been in concert with a healthy law enforcement relationship, so they don't want any ripples there.
But don't you think if you're a police officer who gives tickets and works at the airport, you're fairly confident that you're annoying people and that's your job? This doesn't seem like very anti-police to me. It just seems like a guy who... Like when you're handing someone a ticket, you know they're not happy about it.
I'm only answering your question. Why do the Patriots feel they need to do that? Based on Gerard Mayo's statement, it was very much about the relationship the team has with law enforcement and wanting to keep that.
No way represents the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
No, I know. I just, A, don't know how they understood it. And B, I don't know what he said that was so bad.
I would say it's a great welcome to Boston moment and learning experience for Javon Baker. You don't mess around at the airport. Period. And it's going to frustrate you and maybe even embarrass you the first time it happens. And from now on, you just
yeah, we all get spanked.
Yeah.
Ooh. Where? For being particularly naughty? All right, Andrew Callahan, very good, from the Boston Herald. Thank you, sir, for joining us. You're bigger than all the other writers that cover the team. When we come back, Paul Finebaum, we have a little bit more from him. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and...
Boston, we've got the Patriots covered.
Back to the Hawks. He's in trouble. A sack.
It's an all-new season for the Pats, and you'll hear it all right here. 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
It is finally game week for the Patriots. They visit Cincinnati this coming Sunday. Yesterday, the team was back out at practice after a 3-day break. Projected starting left tackle Verdarian Lowe and left guard City So were once again absent. The team also voted its captains. They include Jacoby Brissett, David Andrews, Jabril Peppers, Juwan Bentley, Joe Cardona, and Dietrich Wise. As for the Patriots, Bengals, they were once again without Jamar Chase at practice. Not take part in the workout as contract negotiations continue. Speaking of contract negotiations, The Athletic and others are reporting at this hour, San Francisco left tackle Trent Williams is on the verge of ending his holdout and finally signing a contract extension with the team. The Red Sox began a 3-game series at Citi Field with a 4-1 loss to the Mets. They've lost 8 out of 11. They're 4.5 games out of a playoff spot. They visit the Mets again tonight. And Boston College began the Bill O'Brien era with a massive upset last night. Quarterback Thomas Castellanos ran for 1 score and added a pair of touchdown passes. BC beat number 10 Florida State 28-13. Bill O'Brien's team 263 yards rushing for the evening.
They executed, which was the key. Again, Boston College, has to be known for its offensive line. We have a great tradition of offensive linemen here, and hopefully these guys can keep that going. They started off on a good note tonight.
BC's home opener is Saturday against Duquesne. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Prolotherapy. Don't let joint pain keep you off the court, course, or trail. Eliminate that pain with Dr. Franke of Boston Prolotherapy. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
I still love her, all that, but she's lesbian,
Your daughter is a lesbian?
Yeah.
Too much starch in his britches.
Oh, our friend Paul Finebaum. We are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And you can watch us on YouTube. Simply go to YouTube, and you can see that. Paul Finebaum. By the way, he has been known to go to these callers' funerals.
Yes.
Because remember, there is the caller that called him from the ambulance. He was a regular caller, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm having a heart attack." And he goes, and he's like, "This is like my 7th heart attack." And so he goes to these funerals of these people.
One of the legions of Alabama fans. There was a specific woman who was known for being in the crowd, and an elderly lady, 85 years old, but she was beloved. She died. He went to her funeral.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he went to these people's funeral, and then
Here's my hammer on it.
Yeah, she's the best one who ever called, and I even forget her name, but she, Mildred.
And I grabbed it and I pulled.
And that's her talking about having a hemorrhoid. And Paul Feinberg, to his credit, lets it go. But Hardy, years and years and years ago, we were playing this woman. She's dead now. And she was talking about the bear and how sensual the bear was.
Bear Bryant.
Bear Bryant. And so we looked it up, and she's not lying. Yeah. Bear Bryant was banging his secretary, and that's her. And she was just and Bear Bryant must have been quite a lover, because she was very satisfied with
and I grabbed it and I pulled.
No, that's her hemorrhoid.
Different.
That's when she was talking about sitting on the toilet with hemorrhoids.
He said, them is blue ones, baby. That blue steel.
All right, here it is. Dan's got it. Here's Mildred.
Around the paper I made love with. It was the best. It was the best sex I ever had. It wasn't coaching football. It ought to have been a sex coach. Well, he made me holler.
Yeah, he made me holler.
Yep.
Makes me want to holler.
That's the best.
Around the paper I made love with. It was the best. It was the best sex I ever had. It wasn't coaching football. It ought to have been a sex coach. well, he make me holler.
Ought to have been a sex coach.
Good for her.
And she talks about her daughter's a lesbian. She's like, I don't understand. So she showed me a video, and I see how they give each other pleasure.
Oh, that's that hesitation.
Yeah, but just she's a woman, and she doesn't know how women give each other pleasure. It's not it's not calculus,
right?
I mean,
right.
You have the body part.
I still love her and all that, but she's lesbian, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
So Mildred, and it's true, she was banging Bear Bryant, and he should have been a sex coach because he made her holler.
That's great.
But college football season is back, and that means people are calling into the park.
Hell yeah.
And here is another caller. Remember, Paul, again, Paul's great. In all sincerity, Paul's great. I've been on his show. He pauses when necessary. He lets the people go, and he deserves all the credit in the world for doing that. He realizes these are like real dumb hicks. Let them dig their own grave.
Hey, Jim is up next.
Well, the reason you couldn't hear from me is because I've been stopped by your people, but that's all I'm going to say, Paul. But
Okay.
it's embarrassing. It's beyond belief.
Please let me know off camera.
Huh?
All right. He's already confused. So he's going to not go, hey, Paul. He's coming in hot.
Yeah.
But he goes, the only reason that I can't get on is these damn phone screeners. And Paul's like, well, yeah. And he goes, but I won't talk about it now. And Paul gives him a little dig. He's like, yeah, let me know off camera. Like they'll be talking. But everything is a pause. There's the hamster wheel cannot get going again. They really need to ramp it up. And they ramp
that's
it.
all. And yeah.
They ramp it up, and then it just dies.
Hey, Paul.
Any little detour kills us.
Man, I love you.
Or a lack of a detour, just any straight road. They run out of gas.
Jim is up next.
Well, the reason you couldn't hear from me is because I've been stopped by your people, but that's all I'm going to say, Paul. But
Okay.
it's embarrassing. It's beyond belief.
Please let me know off camera.
Huh? I'm not talking about. What I'm going to talk about is a man. That's all. I'm talking about a man.
Oh, all right. There you
Huh?
go.
Huh?
Sir, you're not allowed to bring that in here.
Huh?
Sir, you know better than to expose yourself.
Huh?
All right, very good.
I'm not talking about. What I'm going to talk about is a man. That's all.
Oh, well, very good. Get yourself a man.
I'm talking about a man. Paul, my grandmother told me this when I was a young kid, and she told me, she said, don't always.
She said, make love to Bear Bryant as fast as you can because he'll make you holler. He should have been a six, coach.
My grandmother told me this when I was a young kid, and she told me, she said, don't always, not necessarily go by what people say. I call to tell you, I have never in my life been more impressed as a human being, as a wonderful, I mean, I love this man. I absolutely, there's only one or two coaches, one.
You know who he's talking about?
No.
Peter North. The decorator.
Yes. That's the nickname.
He finally found Pornhub, and he's over the moon.
Huh?
Yeah, it's true. You know, Peter North started off, and this is true, in gay porn.
The decorator.
Huh?
Yeah, it's absolutely.
He make me holler.
Oh, well, listen, Mildred was in Harry Reams and Mildred were a couple for a little while. She was doing those, what did they call those, reels. She was, you went in and you put a quarter in the machine. And you could watch Mildred go.
Peep show.
They ought to have been a sex coach.
That's someone's grandma.
I watch it, and I'm a keen watcher, Paul. I'm a better watcher than I was a skilled ball player, skilled in everything in ball.
Yeah. It's under question.
With my skill, I learned by watching the great ones. You understand? That's how you really learn. And I'm making a point about how, and what is that? Who is that fool? That's the typical fool puts down.
What the hell are they? What the hell are they talking about?
What's going on? What is he? What
I told
what
you.
is going on? Why can't you express yourself in any way?
He had it going. Finebaum interrupted him, and it derailed the whole thing. I'm telling you.
He's obviously talking about a coach. I mean, I'm not that dumb. And he's saying he likes the coach. Why can't you just say it, dumb hick?
I'm talking about a man.
Imagine getting directions from him. How do I get there? Well, I'll tell you what. There's a road. It's got a spruce tree on it. I mean, and then I mean, my grandma used to tell me about, when you're driving, you got to look out the side view mirror. Just tell me where to go.
Chris Lowe, I mean, that's unbelievable. But there you are. There's example of the devil himself.
There's not an example anywhere. You did not give an example of anything. You're just bumbling and fumbling around. There's no example.
Huh?
This guy, sometimes they piss me off. Just get to the point.
It's the fast talking gibberish that makes me more angry than the slow talking gibberish.
Yeah, because the slow talking, they're wasted.
Yeah.
Like, they're having some fun. This guy's like trying to not sound like that, and in the meantime, it's just word salad. Like he took a game of Boggle and just threw the dice on the ground and just read whatever came up.
But there you are. There's example of the devil himself trying to stop something good when Chris Lowe was great in what he said. I don't know what he meant. What do you think he meant by that? I'm talking about Dustin. Being an ass. Am I right? Just being an ass.
I think you are, yeah, sure.
All right, well, there you go. Finebaum agrees. He speaks
I do
hick.
not understand.
He speaks hick. There's no question about it. Paul Finebaum. The best.
I mean, I love this man.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Absolutely. That's what he said about his cellmate.
Chance to go on.
He said, I love this man. How quickly they turn when the sentence is going to be long.
And I'm a keen watcher, Paul.
I'm a keen watcher. I got my peepers can look like the Dickens. When I see, you know what my eyes do? Watch. Mm-hmm. And I'm keen at it.
And what is that? Who is that fool? That's the typical fool.
Who is the fool? How about you tell me, dum-dum? Who's the fool? You?
Huh?
Yeah, you're the fool. I'm with you, Hardy. I like when they're. Hi, Paul.
Yeah, the slower.
Yeah, like they've that they've done some damage to themselves when they were on hold. This guy's bugging me. He's coming in too hot. I don't like that.
You there?
He'll let them go so long that they don't even think they're on anymore. That's the magic of Paul Finebaum.
Because I was always thinking about the bear.
Yeah. She said when she was banging other guys, she was thinking about the bear, that it was hard for her to have a relationship with her husband because every time her husband was having sex with her, she was thinking about the bear.
Yeah.
Because he was such a great lover.
And I'm a keen watcher, Paul.
Hey.
Can you imagine that Alabama office of Bear Bryant?
Oh.
You keep the hat on. You keep that checkered hat on while you do me.
Huh?
Huh?
Hello?
That's the state motto of Arkansas, by the way. Huh?
Huh?
Huh? Just says Arkansas. Huh?
Huh?
Huh? And you're not allowed to do that.
That end.
I do not understand.
Yeah, and that's when you're leaving. Says I don't understand. All right, so we'll get to our award-winning email segment. Everyone loves it so much. We will have that for you. We've not done it in a while.
on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. You can get in touch with us. JON at 985thesportshub.com, Hardy at 985thesportshub.com, Toucher at 985thesportshub.com. You can follow our show on Twitter and Instagram at Toucher and Hardy, and you can follow me on Instagram at Fred Toucher, where you can get such tales as the woman that was working at the fast food restaurant late Wednesday evening when I arrived in Tennessee. And she said, I'm sorry, but I got to take an ass. And then walked into the women's bathroom.
Well, she's checked in, Fred.
Oh.
Via email.
Yeah.
Subject line, Tennessee lady. Or actually, the email handle is Tennessee lady, and the subject line is disgruntled fast food dumper. Now, hold up just a minute. I understand you may have been a bit taken aback by my little announcement, but let's be real. We all got to handle our business, honey. I'm out of here hustling to serve you your Mexican pizza late night, and when nature calls, it calls. So before you start complaining, how about you take a moment to appreciate that I'm keeping it real with you? I expect a little understanding and maybe a sprinkle of respect for my honesty. Now let's keep the vibes positive, okay? Now I got to take another dump. Warmly yours, disgruntled fast food dumper.
Okay, so, she's handling food and letting you know that she's going to be producing fecal matter. My question to you is this, is how hot would the girl have to be if you were, with her and she was like, oh, I'm sorry, I really got to take an ass, and, left the room?
Well,
that you would have to be really good looking. For me not, because I told you that I was tickling my girlfriend in college and she broke wind and I needed a break. I took a 5-day break from her.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah, that was, she had crossed the line, and I took a 5-day break.
Other couples, they do that. They pass wind in front of each other. They talk about their bathroom experiences with one another. I've been married for 21 years now. Been with my wife for 25. I don't know that she uses the bathroom, and I like to keep it that way.
Yeah, that was how my marriage was. I will give her credit that was never announced. You saw what I watched What Righteous Gemstones on your. I watched them all while I was in Tennessee, pretty much on your recommendation. And when the woman's defending her extramarital affair, she says, "We haven't even seen each other take a dump." That's what she used as the thing, as the measure of how serious and intimate the relationship was.
Right.
Nice.
But I mean, I had two women, including superfan Renee from back in the old days, go, women go to the bathroom too, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't work at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Do you think Gordon Ramsay got to where he was, and he's like, oh, are you enjoying the souffle? Oh, excuse me. I have to take an ass. I'll be back in just a moment.
I remember that episode of Hell's Kitchen when somebody got kicked off because they announced in the middle of dinner service,
"You're useless. What are you doing in here?" Ooh. I'm sorry. I have to take an S. I'll be right back, and then I'll touch you immediately. No, that's not how you cut it. Give me your hand. Your hands aren't wet. Of course not. I didn't wash them. I just took an ass. That's how he got so famous. Go to France. They're saying it all the time, but it's in French you can't understand. Aaron says, talking about Javon Baker, he could translate it. He said he had a track hawk. It's a Jeep Cherokee with a Hellcat engine.
Oh, a trail hawk.
Yeah, okay.
I thought he said track car. He said trail hawk.
All right, this guy said he said track hawk. He thinks he's being targeted for having a fast car.
I do like those trail hawks.
Do you think that the cop would know that it's a fast car?
Sitting there at the airport?
You can, Fred. If you saw a trail hawk, you would take notice of it.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks like it looks like a very fast Grand Cherokee, which is essentially what it is.
All right. This is from Paul, and it was sent he says, fear for your life, so I immediately open it because I'm no stranger to death threats, thanks to awful announcing. It says, welcome back, Freddie. Question for you guys. How does Hardy root for the known criminal like Scotty Scheffler winning the FedEx Cup? And do you fear for your life knowing that Hardy approves of this criminal's actions and are afraid Hardy might run you over after the show, head on a swivel cam?
Yeah.
He's concerned for me. That is true.
What do you mean? How do I root for Scotty Scheffler? It works in perfect concert with my defund the police initiative that I tried to restart. And look, I have cop friends who are not on board with this.
Oh,
they seem
typical guy.
Yeah.
Ask my cop friends.
Well, they seem to be taking it personally when I talk about defunding their profession, but don't arrest Scotty Scheffler on the morning of the PGA Championship, and I won't have to do these things.
I can't tell you I'm completely informed in the whole defunding the police thing. I can't tell you I really know the point of it or what's going on.
I never quite understood it myself.
I've never investigated it. It just sounds like it's never going to happen. I don't want it to happen, so It
seemed like kind of a half-baked notion when that thing started, getting traction online.
Yeah, I'm finding myself not up on current events at all. I'm really not. Just ask my father. He had a lot of theories on a lot of things.
Well, we talked about Scotty Scheffler on the last Sports Hub Golf Club of the weekend. I got an email as soon as the show wrapped up from Josh. Another great season of the SHGC. Enjoy the football season. I'll be back next year. Josh, I don't know if I will, but I'm glad you enjoyed the...
Whoa. What just happened?
Hello.
Well, I don't know.
You're thinking of not continuing the show?
We've done 12 seasons of the Sports Hub Golf Club,
right.
and at some point, it's going to be enough. I don't know when
never
that's going to
gotten
be.
more publicity.
You know what this is? This is like Stern at the end of a when he's in contract negotiations.
Of course.
Like he's always threatening to retire.
Interesting.
I don't know. But I did take in part of the FM championship as soon as left the show on Friday, went home, gathered up the boy. I said, we're going to go to a sporting event.
And he said, what?
And I said, the FM championship, TPC Boston. He said, what's that? I said, I'll tell you once we're already driving. Let's go. And
you kidnapped the boy.
No, I told him, and he was fine. He was fine. You can't kidnap your own kid. When
you
the
can when you take him to
Tanamanski's
hitting camp, which my dad did to me.
Going to Circus World.
Would you consider yourself kidnapped in that scenario?
If the police pulled him over, I would have said, "Get me out of here! I'm being kidnapped."
No, you were.
I've been bamboozled.
You were abandoned at the baseball
I wasn't
camp.
abandoned. He was there the whole time. I was bamboozled.
Your father stayed there the whole time.
Boy.
It's just one lesson. It was. He said he was. If you don't know the story, I was in Florida with my parents in beautiful Lakeland, where my grandmother had retired.
Mm-hmm.
Lakeland's a dump in Central Florida, and my father said we were doing something else, and we ended up driving an hour and a half to Tom Amansky's hitting thing, and I didn't want to be there, and Tom Amansky knew it. And it was a whole thing. So what's the FM championship now that you have me intrigued?
It's the LPGA Tour, Fred.
Oh.
And it was the inaugural event. It's almost like you weren't listening to my live commercial announcements for the last couple of weeks leading up to the FM championship.
It's at the TPC Boston where we used to go.
I'm aware of that. You don't have to explain it to me.
Right.
I haven't been hitting the head with a shovel.
So Thursday through Sunday, we went down on Friday.
Oh,
and
boy, your kid had to be pissed.
He got a hot dog. He was fine. And we walked the course, and we watched some of the best golfers in the world out there at TPC Boston. And on the heels of this, Fred, it was just announced they are returning next year. It was one of their best-selling competitions of the season. People bought tickets and attended from 31 states and 5 countries.
Well, it must have been a big crowd if they were aware of where they were from. That was a lot of personal conversation.
They not how that information is tracked.
They greeted when they came in. They're like, "Oh, hi, what's your name? I'm Sally." Oh, where'd you come from?
You're the one from Denmark. Of course.
Yeah. Who's answering the phones today? Okay. Because Scott is on, but all I know is Scott is from the North End.
Oh, okay.
Which is,
Hey.
I always
Scott.
announce it. Hello, Scott.
Hey, yeah, it's Scott from the North End. Hey, I wanted to bring up, when Hardy won the Net Club Championship, I think he sandbagged his handicap, and I want a full investigation.
Oh, are
maybe,
you friends
because-
with him? Is this one?
No.
Are you friends with him? And you're like being cute.
This is Scott and I yelled at each other.
Oh, Scott.
From the North End.
Oh, Scott. All right, enough of that. You've had your day. I like Scott, but let's not go crazy.
Yeah, and careful accusing someone of sandbagging because that's a real thing, and I did not.
Yeah, we've heard that. This is good. Tim says, Fred, with summer sadly over, can Dan O'Brien tell us if the beach wagon business was a success?
Oh,
We don't
yeah.
need specific figures.
Oh, I need specific
But
figures.
will Dan
No,
at
you
least be
don't.
going to Hawaii on his own dime this winter? Not why would you? When you
Yes
have a-
and yes.
When you have a male guy, a male friend that just pays for everything.
Nope.
Or will he still be some old bear's little spoon yet again? Love you guys, Tim.
Wow, thanks, Tim.
Now, how was Dan the Wagon Man's business? And you told me it's going strong. That you thought it was going to be over, but it's still cooking.
It cooked right up until Saturday, till the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. Yes. Very good. Yeah, not overwhelming, but consistent, steady, and the word got out. So
Now,
it's
if you
very-
grow this business, is this something that you're going to retire on? This is
No.
real money.
No, this is a side hustle. This is the definition of a little bit of a side hustle.
Is this? We're talking 5 figures?
No.
We're not talking
The
5
pinions
figures.
wheels keep everything moving along nicely.
Gross?
What are you, my accountant?
Did you gross 5 figures?
Oh, not your accountant.
If I were your accountant, it was a good.
You have an accountant that does that much?
It was a good.
No, if I were your accountant, I would say it is a very tricky business, the wagon business.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go under.
Dan the Wagon Man.
Are you an LLC, Dan?
Yes.
You are.
I am.
Very good.
Thank you.
Now you're immune
Yes,
to
and then
lawsuits when those crutch
answers to the
someone.
next questions were Dan's going on his own dime.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Oh no!
You're going to Hawaii and you're paying for your own self?
Yes.
What happened?
Don't even think my friend is going.
Whoa.
Who are you going with?
I'm going with myself.
You're going all the way to Hawaii by yourself?
That's the
Do
plan.
you know people there?
That's the plan. Yes.
Okay, so you've developed
Okay.
locals. Is there a guy there that'll take care of you?
There is not.
Well, you're gonna have to hustle. I watch Midnight Cowboy.
I have not.
And you got to do better than Voight did there. He was not having a lot of success. He didn't even get paid in the movie theater. You know the guy that said he was going to pay him in the movie theater?
Yeah.
He became the guy obsessed with Elaine on Seinfeld, the head of the network.
The guy that played
Boom.
Russell Dalrymple.
Wow.
Jesus. That's impressive.
That is really
If he's
impressive.
right, that's really impressive.
Oh, I think he is.
Is he right?
The head of NBC.
I don't think he said. Oh, I don't think he just came up with it out of his butt.
Russell Dalrymple.
That is
Okay.
impressive.
That's
but
really
but
good.
Dan, if you're going to be like John Voight in Midnight Cowboy, get the money up front, because at the movie theater, the guy's going to do the thing to you. You're going to let him, and then you're really going to have to rustle him up in the bathroom.
Okay.
You know,
Thank you.
and don't let them trick you into going into a guy's apartment. He's just going to try to convert you into Christianity.
Right. Very small apartment, too. There's a lot going on in that place. He had a little drop down of it where I think the ironing board was supposed to be, but it was actually a shrine.
It's funny because people will say, like, a movie. I think that movie Midnight Cowboy came out in 1969. I watched that over the weekend.
How?
I'm reading a book about New
'Cause
York in that time, and so they referenced it. So I looked at it.
And I know how, because I've sat and watched it too, but I sit to myself and I say, how do people go to a theater and watch this and then watch it again and say, like, oh, it's a really good movie?
I don't
get it.
I didn't think it was a bad movie. I was more of the mind of, why is this controversial? Like, why was this controversial, 50, 60 years ago? Like, why they don't show anything. They're like, it was big, like, with gay people. And it's like, he only does, like, 1 or 2 gay things. You don't even see it, But I'm reading this book about Andy Warhol, and they used the Warhol people in the scene where he does drugs for the first time. It's this event that they used to have.
Your Hawaiian friends, Dan, the ones that you have there, they're locals?
They are.
Do they have? Do they affectionately refer to you as Barney
or Howley?
Or Howley?
Howley is a word that's thrown around. Barney, I've not heard. No.
Well, because you're from the mainland where they have barns. That's I learned what we.
I did not know that, Hardy. Thank you.
That's also from North Shore.
Okay.
Yeah, all I know about Hawaii is from the North Shore. That he was just
What
a
else
kid
do you
from a
need to
water
know?
park in Arizona.
Yeah.
And that he came to North Shore, but he had
What's
to learn
his
how
friend's
to,
name?
I have no idea, but he had to learn.
Turtle.
Oh, that's right. Turtle was a real boob. He had to learn how to soul surf.
That's right.
You're gonna start with the big board, kid.
The thing's like a coffee table.
You gotta work up to it, because surfing ain't about tricks. It's a lifestyle. You know, kind of like making wagons and going on to Hawaii. I meant, well, good for you, Dan. I'm proud that you get to go to Hawaii on your own dime.
Thank you.
You're not going
It's
to
a
be
wagon.
lonely.
It's a wagon dime. Yes.
So the wagon business paid for your trip to Hawaii.
There was a yes. We put aside some money to me. Sorry,
Okay.
the company.
Okay. All right.
Company.
Okay.
Put aside some money for a vacation.
Look at you. Very good. Budgeting. Creating new businesses.
Envelopes. Yep.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Do you have an envelope with the cash in it?
I do.
It's a cash business, Dan the Wagon Man?
No. I'm saying I have an envelope put aside for vacation.
Okay. I was going to say. Because I don't want the tax man hearing that.
No.
It's a cash business. That's when you start getting into hot water.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The stack is coming up in just a moment.
Monday.
It's time for The Stack on
Sundown. You tell me.
Oh, I'd be
Put
happy
those
to.
headphones on. Jesus.
I'd be happy to, Fred. Thank you very much. Did you catch that Netflix did a special hot dog eating competition between Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi?
No.
First time in 15 years. For the first time in 15 years, they competed against each other. This was, a once storied matchup, but most recently, Joey Chestnut not allowed to participate in the Nathan's hot dog eating contest because of his endorsement of a non-meat hot dog.
So there was, I was listening, like, whenever they told him you couldn't do it. So I guess July, right? Or late June.
Yeah, no, it's July 4th.
And there was a guy on one of the national sports channels that was filling in because no one was working that week. That was because you have to talk about sports because their brain explodes when they have to, like, mind their own lives for anything or, like, talk about something else. That he did, like, I would say, tuning in and out, a good 40 minutes on how Joey Chestnut was getting screwed. As if you care at all. You don't care about the hot dogs. I bet you Netflix paid him $10 million a piece, too. But it's not interesting to watch. Just the first time, yeah, and you go, like, if it was your friend, and they're like, dude, I can eat, whatever, 50 hot dogs.
Right.
And you're like, BS. But then again, I get bored watching my friend eat the hot dogs.
So the guy who did the Nathan's thing, the guy in the straw hat, and he's dressed up like like Dick Van Dyke in The Music Man,
real Carnival Parker.
Yeah, but he's phenomenal. I did an event with him years ago where he was hosting a wing eating contest. The guy is funny. He presumably does everything out of memory. Like, I didn't see him referring to any notes. I would say more than half of the show is watching that guy announce the contestants, and then it's 10 minutes of eating.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they have for this Netflix thing. I didn't watch it, but I do have the results.
Chestnut beat him.
Yes.
Must have, yes.
Joey Chestnut won. How many hot dogs did he consume in 10 minutes?
You have 10 minutes to consume hot dogs. 65.
I'm going to say higher, 70.
83.
Oh, God.
Wow. Well, blow me down.
Hey, Kobayashi beat Chestnut once. It was a big matchup.
Yeah. There's no way you two can sit there. How long did he have to eat the hot dogs?
10 minutes.
For 10 minutes, you just sit there watching people eat?
The only reason I cared was we were on, and remember the guy by the name of Jeffrey Esper called in. I wanted to see. Esper was the guy who finished second.
Talking to them about it is fairly interesting because they tell you, like, how they prepare for it. And, they're not fat for the most part.
Right.
And so, like, how that all works. That's far more interesting than watching people eat.
That's fair.
And once I
just put your face up to the McDonald's window.
So honestly, when I found out that the skinny people do better in this because they don't have that layer of fat that prevents their stomach from expanding, I was like, that's interesting. And that was the last interesting thing I heard before or since any of the competitive eating. I'm like, oh, that one element to it I find intriguing. But beyond that, what else have you got?
Yeah, if I was sitting around with, like, friends and then they started talking about how they watched that thing on Netflix, I don't know if I want to be their friends anymore.
Yeah, you'd question their friendship. Absolutely.
Like, you're so boring. Like, you're just a boring person.
Unlike you. You're just a firecracker.
Oh, I got opinions.
But you're ready to...
For good or bad.
You're ready to get up and go do stuff. If we're hanging out, you're going to jump up and say, hey, let's go do what? What would you say, Fred?
Get ice cream.
Oh, right on. See?
Like bros?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I don't know, dude. I'm in the mood for a cone.
You know all about Oasis reforming. They're doing some shows in the UK.
Did you get the email from the guy that showed where his friend was in line for him?
No.
Okay, so...
maybe I did like 253,000 or something.
Yeah, he was 281,000 in line. That was his place in line.
Yes. Well, now Ticketmaster apparently is being questioned by the government in the UK because, well, number one, a bunch of people did not get their tickets. Shocker. But they're looking to do Ticketmaster's use of dynamic pricing. So the prices for the ticket shot up by hundreds and hundreds of dollars or pounds while people were waiting to buy them when they went on sale. So the ticket price was not a static thing. It's like dynamic pricing that, restaurants have tried and other things. It's like during peak times, we're going to charge more. So Ticketmaster's saying, oh, there's a big demand for these tickets. We're going to raise prices as part of our dynamic pricing. Like, what are you doing? Of course there's a huge demand. Oasis just announced they're reforming. You know that everybody wants them. How can this be considered dynamic pricing or surge pricing like an Uber? No, that doesn't work like that. It does for Ticketmaster.
Well,
And
if you're going to court, though, you got to want to go to England because they got the powdery wigs.
Oh, yes.
Like you go in there and you get a guy in a nice George Washington situation.
you get a barrister.
That's right.
Yeah, they got names for everything. Pounds.
Right.
You know what they call cigarettes? Hello.
Hey.
Yes.
And I don't want to get canceled. But let's just say Jaron Duran is a fan of the word. I can see stuff online they're letting him play. Like he had 3 home runs, and he's said the most terrible thing ever uttered. Go ahead.
Do you have any desire to go to China?
No, but I would rather maybe go because I heard that they can speak English more in China. I'm terrified of going to Japan. I have a friend who just spent 6 months or 3 months over there for his company working, and like no English to my knowledge. Like he was like no one spoke English. Like nothing's in English.
Ooh. See, now that would give me some anxiety, but I would go to Tokyo 10 times out of 10 before I went to China because I hear
it's not a communist government.
Well,
and it's a friend of the United States.
all that stuff, and it's supposed to be. Have you been to Tokyo, Dan? Amazing.
Yes, I did. Amazing. But
Amazing.
Nothing. That'd be like someone from Japan coming to Boston and expecting to see signs in Japanese.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Just not happening.
And yeah, I'm not
Instructions, directions.
Yeah, I'm not insulting Japan. You know.
Oh,
Like,
no,
I'm just saying that my own.
I am. Learn American.
Yeah, my own weak mind. I would be too right. I'd have to have like 2 guides with me to translate. It would be too much for me. I didn't like Paris. Well, I don't like Paris anyway, but I wasn't wild about France because of the language.
Oh, you see, I've only went to Paris once for a brief trip, but the language barrier wasn't an issue for us.
No, it wasn't. I mean, a lot of people understood English, but I just felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I didn't know what was going on, which is why I'm empathetic to everyone's situation that's over here.
You get that a lot, though, no matter where you're going. Yeah, I don't know where you fit in.
That's what I mean. I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm paying a guy $400 an hour.
Good luck.
Something to do with my uncle.
I bring it up because Jason Tatum went to both Paris and China.
Mm-hmm.
The China family tour via the Jordan brand, and he took pictures in front of the Great Wall, and he was with Luka Doncic and Zion Williamson, and
Tiananmen Square.
What a
It's a
time they had.
celebration.
Where the NBA is a very big thing.
How much do you think they pay? I know it's part of his shoe deal, but how much do you think, like in real money, that he made for that trip? Like if $10 million, you know, $5 to $10 million. I'm saying it's got to be part of his deal, but he probably doesn't have to do like. Let's put it this way: he's not going to Foot Locker and Saugus, you know.
Yeah.
So like, if they have him go out and do something, it's probably in his contract that he's got to do A, B, and C, and it's got to be. I mean, it's certainly into the tens of millions of dollars when I think of it.
You don't think they went to the basketball camp to surprise the kids on their own idea? You think that was part of the deal that he signed up for and
Here's
got compensated
what we're going
for?
to do, Jason. You're going to play deep into June. You're going to get maybe 3 days off.
You're
then you're going to go to Las Vegas, and from Las Vegas, you're going to go to Paris. And then after all of
you
that,
forgot Dubai.
Dubai. And then after all of that, we want you to fly to the Far East.
So I got an email from a guy that was at a Worcester Sox game, and they said Tyler Milliken was signing autographs, and that the line, and there he is, Tyler Milliken. I got an email when you were at the Woo Sox game signing autographs that the line never ended, that it was the entire time.
Wow.
Okay, I did one at the Lowell Spinners, and it was just me. because my partner was out for good reason. It's a good reason. I'm being sarcastic. And so I was signing the boxes of my bobbleheads. They said, we'll have you out here for an inning and then a full inning, and then the time between the inning and the next inning, 5 minutes of line. And then it was over.
Milliken,
and I sat in a chair.
Very popular.
Can I have your autograph?
Very popular.
Milliken? He's walking away.
Tyler Milliken, in all seriousness, is more popular than me by a lot.
Oh yeah,
because no one wanted my autograph.
Sorry, Fred.
Was it a Tyler Milliken bobblehead?
I think it's for that, and I'm not being cute. It's the podcast operation that he's on.
It's the
Like Carabas
the
was there.
podcast day at the Woo Sox.
Yeah. It wasn't just him, but I was trying to build him up a little bit. You had to shoot it down.
All right.
Typical Hardy. Can't let anyone have any glory. And the midday show is at Gillette today. All right, that'll do it for us. Everyone have a great day. Bye.